A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's go!
Let's go! Firefighters! Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a moment, we'll take you to the home of the Collinses, where Tim is having a breakfast with Jimmy and Mrs. Collins after the exciting conclusion the night before of the case of the counterfeit plates. He's in for another exciting adventure, and Jimmy is too. But before we learn about it, here's an interesting message. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go to the kitchen of the Collins' family, where Tim, Jimmy, and Mrs. Collins are having a big breakfast of Mother Collins' buckwheat cakes. And Tim is saying,
Oh, gee, how about another stack of buckwheats, Mom? I could eat a horse after that excitement last night.
I declare you get more and more like your father. I can just see Ben sitting there now, asking just like you are for a third helping of wheat cake.
Well, when you work, you gotta eat, Mom.
Oh, you're just naturally a glutton. Now, Jimmy, if you've been up most of the night working, you'd be hungry, too. By the way, what's the matter with your appetite this morning? You usually...
Oh, big day, Mom. I'm meeting Jack to talk over some business about the Firefighters Brigade. We want to raise some money.
Oh, what are you gonna buy? Ice cream, sodas?
Oh, no, Tim. This is important. It's for our equipment fund. You got any suggestions?
No, but... Well, I'll think about it.
Okay. Well, I gotta be on my way. I'm due to meet Jack at his apartment in 5 minutes. I'll see you all later.
Jimmy, finish your breakfast.
Oh, gee, Mom, I've had plenty. One guy that overeats in the family's enough.
All right, none of that. None of that. If you were a working man like me, you'd eat a decent breakfast,
Oh, let him go, Tim. I guess he's just excited. Come right back when you finished your business with Jack. I've got some things for you to do today.
Okay, so long, Mom. And Tim, watch that appetite of yours, won't you?
Go on, get out of here.
Hey, Jack.
Oh, hiya, Jimmy.
Hey, you're the guy I'm on my way to see. What you doing on Front Street?
Oh, Mrs. Larkin asked me to go to the drugstore for her. She's an old lady who lives in our apartment house.
Say, I've been talking with my brother Tim about raising money for the equipment fund.
Yeah? Did he have any ideas?
No, but he said he'd think about it.
Oh. Well, let's talk it over with him as soon as I deliver this bottle of medicine to Mrs. Larkin in the apartment here.
Say, I never realized you live right next door to a garage. That's pretty convenient when you want to buy gas.
Yeah, we keep our car there. Yeah, speaking of gas, I see the garage is getting a new supply. Yeah, there's Clyde, the gas truck man.
Hey, Jack.
Hiya, Clyde. Filling up the old tank again, huh?
Yep. And this garage sure sells a lot of gas. This is the second truckload I delivered in 3 days. Yeah, they sure must have a flock of customers.
Well, that's our garage, the most successful in town. This is my friend, Jimmy Collins, Clyde. Jimmy, Clyde Cranston.
Hi, Jimmy.
I'm pleased to meet you, Clyde.
Say, Clyde.
Hey, Jimmy.
I just noticed something. That hose from your gas truck.
Now, what about it?
Oh, you're supposed to be putting gas in the garage tank, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. It's right under the walk here. Big 500-gallon job.
I may be wrong, but it looks to me like you have your hose in the wrong pipe.
What do you mean?
Well, isn't it supposed to be in the pipe over there?
What?
It looks like you've got it in your apartment house tank.
Holy smoke. You're right. I put her in the apartment's fuel oil pipe by mistake.
Gosh, that means you've been running gas into the apartment house tank.
Yeah, you're right, Jimmy. Yeah, what a fool thing to do. Yeah, I'll shut it off.
Gee whiz, what are you going to do, Clyde?
Well, The damage is done now. Switch her over to the garage tank, I guess. Forget about it.
What about the gasoline in the apartment house tank?
Forget it. No one will never know the difference.
Well, isn't that dangerous, having gasoline in a fuel oil tank?
It won't make no difference. Besides, if the company finds out I pulled a fool stunt like that, it'll cost me my job. I don't stand in so good with them now as it is. Thing like this, and I'd be out on my neck.
What about the oil furnace? Won't it make a difference burning gas instead of fuel oil?
Listen, kid, forget about it. So I made a mistake. It's not important.
Well, don't you think you should report it?
Look, I said it wasn't important. I'll be hanged if I'm going to risk my job by telling the company I don't know a gas from a fuel oil pipe.
Well, are you sure it isn't dangerous?
I said forget it. What difference is it to you? It's my worry, so forget about it.
Well, if you think it...
I said it didn't matter, didn't I? I got the whole switch. So what?
Okay, if you say it's all right, only...
Say, what's eating your friend here, Jack? What's he so worried for, anyway?
Well, he just... It's only that since I became a junior firefighter, I'm always noticing things that might be fire hazards.
Oh, so you're one of them junior firefighters, huh? Yeah, I heard about them. Bunch of kids at school got it up, didn't they?
Yeah, I'm president of the brigade at our school.
Yeah, well, what do you firefighters do besides go around and tell other people how to run their business?
I wasn't doing that. It just seemed to me that gasoline in a fuel oil
Look,
tank...
kid.
Yeah?
You wouldn't be going to squeal on me, would you?
Well, what do you mean?
You wouldn't want to get a guy fired, would you? Just 'cause he made a little mistake.
Well,
I'm a pretty good friend of your pal Jack here. Ain't that right, Jack?
Sure, Clyde.
Well, just remember it. And my advice to both of you is to forget you ever saw that gasoline running into the apartment fuel oil tank.
Well, but...
Understand? You didn't see a thing.
Okay, Clyde. We didn't see a thing.
And be sure your pal understands, too. I'd hate to have any trouble with you kids. Well, the tank's full, I see, so I'll be shoving off. I'll be seeing you around, Jack.
Yeah, sure, Clyde.
And just remember, both of you, you didn't see a thing.
Gee, Clyde seemed kind of scared we'd tell on him, didn't he? Yeah. That was funny, him putting the gasoline in the wrong tank, though. Yeah, it certainly was. Well, I better look up Mrs. Larkin and give her this medicine. Then we can get down to business. Yeah, sure, Jeff. Mrs. Larkin's a funny old gal. She's always hollering to the superintendent about something. Well, hey, come on in, Jimmy. I can't hold the door open all day. Oh, I'm sorry. Kid. Hey, what's got into you? You look like you're in a trance. Anything on your mind? No, I was just thinking. Oh, there's Mrs. Larkin now, just coming up from the basement. I'll give her the medicine. Mrs. Larkin.
Oh, hello there, Jack.
Here's your medicine. I hope I didn't keep you waiting too long.
No, Jack. I've been looking for Mr. Turner, the superintendent. That man ought to be discharged from his job. Never around when you want him.
Well, what's wrong this time, Mrs. Larkin?
The heat. That man never turns the furnace on. It's like an icebox in my apartment. You seen him?
No, I haven't. Here's your medicine.
Thanks, my boy. Remind me to give you a dime the next time I have my purse.
Oh, that's all right, Mrs. Larkin.
I never saw such an inefficient man. Let a body freeze, he would. Just wait till I find him out.
Poor Mrs. Larkin, always complaining. You know, she'd want the heat on if it was 90 outside. Well, then the furnace isn't on now? Oh, not on a day like this. Yeah, but if I know Mrs. Larkin, she'll find Mr. Turner and make him turn it on. Oh, no, she can't do that. Well, why do you say that, Jimmy? Jack. Yeah? Look, that gasoline in the fuel tank, regardless of what Clyde says, I think it's dangerous. You think so? Yes, and I think we should report it. Yeah, but what about Clyde? We promised him we wouldn't say anything. But if there's danger of an explosion, it's our duty to tell someone. Well, maybe you're right. Tony, I'd hate to get Clyde into trouble. I've known him for a long time. He's got a wife and a family. Well, Clyde made a mistake. A mistake that's endangering the lives of every person in this apartment house, including your family. Gee whiz, when you put it that way. Yeah, but Clyde said it wouldn't hurt any... Clyde doesn't know for sure. I'm afraid he's thinking more about his job than the safety of the people in your apartment house. And what do you think we should do?
Look, Jack, we're junior firefighters. That means we have a responsibility to help prevent fires whenever we can.
Yeah, but Jimmy, what if we report it and it turns out that gasoline isn't dangerous in a fuel oil tank? And Clyde will lose his job and he'll blame us.
I know, Jack. But right now there's hundreds of gallons of gasoline in your apartment tank. And if Mrs. Larkin ever gets the superintendent to turn on the furnace, there's liable to be a terrible explosion.
Where's my mother's sick in bed upstairs, too? Well, what do we do?
I know what I'm going to do. Get my brother, Tim.
Well, now, that's a pretty tough decision for Jimmy to make. If he reports that Jack's friend Clyde, through error, ran gasoline into the apartment house fuel tank, Clyde will probably lose his job with the gasoline company. But if he doesn't report it, and a fire is started in the apartment house furnace, there may be an explosion in Jack's apartment, endangering the lives of scores of persons. What would you do if you were faced with Jimmy's problem? Well, to find out what Jimmy does, be sure to listen to our next true-to-life episode of The Firefighters. In just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you girls and boys how you can help the firefighters in your own town. But first, here's a message for you. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special notice for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. This is Chief Cody again. Most of you probably have some sort of fire extinguisher in your home or in the family car. I want you to ask your father to go around with you and check your home firefighting equipment. See that it is filled and in working order. And if you don't yet know how to operate it, be sure to get your father to show you how. For often the quick use of a home extinguisher can prevent a small fire from becoming a large and sometimes fatal one. Well, that's all. So long for now.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go! Let's go! Firefighters!
Firefighters...
Autolite and its 98,000 dealers bring you Miss Rosemary Clooney in tonight's presentation of Suspense.
Tonight, Autolite presents a story about the roaring 20s and the violent people who lived them. As with song and story, we tell you about St. James Infirmary Blues. Our star, Time Magazine's cover girl, Miss Rosemary Clooney.
Well, Harlow, did you enjoy G.W.'s birthday?
Yes, sir, Hap. Quite a guy, George. And an Autolite Stay Full battery user, of course.
He was?
Why, he is. George just can't buy a better battery than the one that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use.
I suppose he used the Stay Full to start his boat across the Delaware.
Well, if he did, he got the quickest and most powerful start of his life. And G.W. agrees.
George Washington?
Oh, no. George Wilcox, my brother.
Oh.
Friends, to quickly locate your Autolite battery dealer, who services all makes of batteries, phone Western Union by number and ask for Operator 25.
And I'll gladly tell you where to get an Autolite Stay Full, the battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use.
And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite presents Miss Rosemary Clooney in St. James Infirmary Blues, hoping once again to keep you in suspense.
I went down to St. James Infirmary. I saw my sweetheart there, all stretched out on a long white table, so pale, so cold, so fair.
how do you like it, honey?
It's all right.
Hey, you know who that is over there? Brock Martin, and all those guys around him.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them gangsters. I told you, didn't I? I told you I'd take you to the fanciest speakeasy in New York. Oh, that's Brock. He owns this whole end of town. You see the way they let me in, Sheila?
It was very impressive, Freddie, dear.
And how do you like the liquor here, huh? Right from Canada. You know, one thing about Brock.
Freddie?
Yeah, honey?
Who's he?
Huh?
The boy with the black hair.
Oh, he's Brock's Trigger.
What does that mean, honey?
Oh, baby. Trigger. Trigger means you want somebody out of the way. A shot.
And the boy with the black hair does it?
That's what the papers say. That's Nick Volpe.
You know him?
Oh, you point these guys out, you don't know them. Hey, where you going?
That's what I said. 3-2 on Dempsey at Philly tomorrow, Brock. Don't you think we ought to take a hug?
Whatever you say, Nicky.
Whatever Nicky says.
This yours, Nicky?
Nicky hasn't started to find out yet.
Who are you, baby?
Sheila.
This is Sheila, Brock.
Why?
Tell him, baby.
It's a dull place. I don't like dull.
You see, Brock?
Sit down, Sheila.
I've got a table.
I know, I saw.
I know. You stared, Nicky, but I was too far away. You really couldn't tell. Freddie?
Hello, Mr. Volpe.
You're who?
Just a customer. Just brought Sheila here. Sheila.
It was lovely, Freddie.
I guess we better go now.
Goodbye, Freddie.
Hey, I can't leave you here with these. Sheila.
Valentino's playing down the street, Freddie. Go see him.
Do that. Hi, Nick.
The dough went away, didn't it?
Keep it like that.
Sure.
I'd roam the wide world over, but none so sweet, so fair as my loving baby Nicky, like red rockets in the
Having fun, Sheila?
Love it. How fast are we going?
How fast, Cleo?
60.
Next corner, Cleo.
I know where to stop, Nicky. Don't worry.
You all right, baby?
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
You're not going to get hurt, are you?
Nah, never. Be back in a minute.
Cleo,
Yes, ma'am?
how long have you been with Nicky?
Driving him? Oh, a long time.
He's nice, isn't he?
Not while he's collecting. Not now he isn't.
But exciting.
You ought to go home.
Exciting. This week. A whole week of Nicky. You don't...
All right, let's get going, Cleo.
Any trouble, boss?
Just pie. Little guy in that store even thanked me for the protection we give him.
Nicky.
What, baby?
Nothing. Just Nicky. You're not smiling, Nicky. Trouble?
Oh, not much. Cleo,
Yeah. I know. I'll take it slow.
get down in the car, baby.
Nicky.
Get down, I told you. All right, beat it. Sheila, honey.
What?
You know why that happened? You know why that man's store just blew up in his face? Sheila, when I tell you to do something, you'll do it, huh? Let me in.
Funny, I was just thinking about you, Nick. While I was mixing this drink, I was thinking, wouldn't it...
Shut up.
All right. Here, take my drink.
Lousy booze.
What's the matter, Nick?
Look, anybody asks you, I've been here for the last 5 hours.
Sure, but...
What happens if anyone asks you?
You were here. 5 hours, Nick.
All right.
Now you tell me.
Listen to me. A guy got killed.
Who?
What difference does it make? He was hauling a load of booze from Montreal. He didn't make it. He got hijacked. He didn't like it. He didn't do what he was told to do, so he's dead.
You kill him, Nick?
How could I kill him? I've been here for the last 5 hours.
That's right, Nick.
It was Brock's booze. It was Brock's boy who got killed.
Brock will kill you for it. You should.
Listen to me. Don't you know what I'm telling you?
Nick, you're hurting me.
Brock's gonna kill nobody, you understand that?
Nick!
That's the phone.
Hello?
Nicky there?
Who's this?
Brock.
He's here, Brock. You want to talk to him?
How long's he been there?
5 hours.
Listen, Sheila, tell him something for me. Tell him McCready never got in with his truck because he got killed. Tell Nick McCready's going to have a funeral tomorrow. Tell him to be there.
I'll tell him. Nick.
You did good.
I'm scared.
Touch this to you, baby. Scares away the scare. 50,000 times. 1 for each dollar.
All that money.
All that happy time, baby. Put it away for a rainy day for us. You like Cuba, baby?
Right now, I like it right here. Nick. Cuba's later. So we went down to the funeral. A man my Nick had killed. Parade of long black autos. The streets with crowds were filled. 6 crap shooters as pallbearers. A chorus girl sang a song with a jazz band on his hearse. Raising Cain as we drove along. Cleo. I haven't seen him for the last half hour.
Hi, Brock.
He wants you, Miss Sheila.
What?
Brock's nodding to you. That means he wants you.
All right.
In here, Sheila. I want to talk to you. Sit down. You want a drink?
No.
You want Nicky?
What did you do to him?
Nothing's going to happen to him that you won't know about.
He was with me. He didn't kill McCready. I swear he was with me, Brock.
You're a pretty girl, Sheila. You got a nice face. Take care of yourself. Mostly don't lie.
Don't kill him, Brock.
He was the only one that knew about that load of booze from Montreal. I got a phone call from Patterson, New Jersey, a guy who runs things over there. He laughed in my face. He said, my boy Nick just sold him a load of my whiskey. You want to see Nick? Sure you do. Charlie, bring him in.
Inside, big shot.
Nicky!
Hi, Sheila. It's all right, baby. Doesn't hurt.
Sure it don't, Nick. Nothing's gonna hurt anymore. Take him, Charlie.
Let's go, big shot. The ride's what we got for you.
You too, Sheila. Come on. Okay, Cleo.
Yes, sir.
Out, Nick. Baby, come on. She won't let him go, boss. Make her. Yeah. She let go. Come on, Nick.
Bye, baby.
Come on. Yeah.
Baby!
Nick! Nicky!
You better believe it, Sheila. It just happened to him.
Autolite is bringing you Miss Rosemary Clooney in St. James Infirmary Blues. Tonight's presentation in Suspense.
You know, Harlow, life was tough in Washington's time.
It sure was, Hap. Imagine having to get along without an Autolite Stay Full, the great battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use.
But they didn't need Autolite Stay Full batteries in that time.
Why, Hap, folks should have the Stay Full advantages all the time. Those fiberglass retaining mats protect the power of every positive plate, reduce shedding and flaking, and give the Autolite Stay Full longer life, as proved by tests conducted according to accepted life cycle standards.
But, Harlow, they didn't have cars in Washington's time.
They weren't worth having without an Autolite Stay Full, Hap. Friends, visit your Autolite battery dealer. He services all makes of batteries, and he has an Autolite Stay Full for your car if a replacement is needed. To quickly locate him, phone Western Union by number and ask for...
Operator 25. I'll gladly tell you where to get an Autolite Stay Full.
The battery that needs water only 3 times a year in normal car use. And remember, from bumper to tail light, you're always right with Autolite.
And now, Autolite brings back to our Hollywood soundstage Miss Rosemary Clooney in Elliot Lewis's production of St. James Infirmary Blues, a story well calculated to keep you in suspense.
You're being a good girl, Sheila. I like that. Just try to smile when we get inside the club. Open it, Lefty. This smile, Sheila, like you just came from a party. With laughs.
Hi, Brock. Buy a drink?
Hi, Brock.
Some other time.
Come on, have a drink with me, Brock.
My office, Sheila. Inside. Here, I'll take your coat.
Brock.
Sit down, Sheila. Yeah, drink it.
No. Nick used to tell me to do things, and I didn't. He's dead now.
You're not. Thank me, Sheila.
You're fat.
Nick was a good boy. He met you. Something happened to him. He crossed me. Now he's dead. You see what I can do, Sheila?
You're fat and you're old.
I've seen him like you. Beautiful. Culture's the word, isn't it, Sheila? Good family, money, everything. But really nothing at all. Excitement's what you need, isn't it?
What do I do to you, Brock?
I don't know.
But I do it, don't I?
Yeah.
Make me another drink, Brock.
Sheila.
Make me another drink.
All right, Sheila. Yeah. Drink it, baby, and we'll make it the start of a...
Wipe the gin off your face, Brock.
Enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me make up my mind about something. Whether we should ride back to where Nicky got his and throw you away. You think that would be exciting, Sheila?
Do it right here. You've got the gun.
Oh, Sheila.
You want to kiss me? Go ahead. You taste of gin. I've got to stay alive now, huh, Brock? Bye. I left my Nicky's killer. The clarinet played so sad.
The blues were all around me, and I wish that I was dead.
Who is it? Wait, I'll slip something on. Nicky.
Let me in.
Sure, Nicky. Over here. Lie down.
No, listen. I gotta get him. Gotta get Brock.
You're hurt. You're hurt so terribly.
Brock, bring him to me.
You need a doctor, Nicky. I'll get you a doctor.
I don't want one. I want Brock. Get him for me. I'm dying, Sheila. Gotta get Brock before I die. You gotta do it for me.
Yes. I can do it for you, Nicky.
And a gun.
Yes.
Go to Cleo. He'll give you a gun.
Yes. Lie down, Nick. Here. Put your arm around me.
We'll do it, won't we? We'll kill Brock.
We'll kill him.
Oh, Miss Sheila.
Hello, Cleo. May I come in?
Well, I don't know.
Sure you do.
What do you want?
I want a gun, Cleo.
Oh, I can't do that, Miss Sheila.
Why not?
Well, Brock didn't say give you a gun.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, you're wrong, Miss Sheila. That's what matters the most. You see, if Brock called me and said give you a gun, it'd be all right.
I'll call him.
All right.
You want to know what I'm going to tell him?
Yeah, I know about the gun. I'll listen in.
About how you were waiting for me when I left his place. How we went riding and had some drinks. And how I'm here now and I want to go home and you won't let me.
Please, Miss Sheila, put the phone down.
All right. What about the gun, Cleo?
I'll get it. Here.
Thanks, Cleo.
Miss Sheila.
Yes?
What do you want it for?
Let me ask you something, Cleo. Did you like Nicky?
I liked him all right.
He's alive.
Oh, you're kidding. Brock got rid.
Nicky's alive, Cleo. He liked you. I thought you'd want it. Cleo, don't.
Hand over 79715.
Cleo.
I got to, Miss Sheila. Brock's my boss. He's got to know.
Cleo, don't.
You gotta understand, Miss Sheila.
Hello, Brock.
Who is this?
Sheila.
Hello, Sheila.
I'm lonely, Brock.
Dull again, huh?
Dull.
I can fix it, baby.
It'll take you about an hour to get to my place, won't it, Brock? That's how long I can stand it without you.
Just settle on. See you. Sheila?
It's me, honey. How do you feel?
It's better now. You're here.
I got the gun, Nick.
Give it to me. 3 bullets missing, Sheila.
I know.
Been fired not long ago, ain't it?
I know.
What happened?
I told Cleo you were alive. He was going to call Brock.
So you shot him?
Let me hold you, Nick.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
Nicky.
What, baby?
It was easy.
Brock coming?
He'll be here in about a half hour.
Hold me, baby.
No tears, no blues, no
It hurts me to laugh, Sheila, but it's funny. Oh, listen to him.
Do you want me to do it for you, Nick?
Shoot him?
I'd do it.
Just show him in the living room, baby.
Then I'll make an entrance.
You snapped your fingers and I came running, Sheila.
I'll snap them again, Brock. What are you going to do now?
You tell me. No, I mean it.
I'll think of something. Take off your coat. We'll have some music.
Yeah, sure. It's a nice place you got here.
Nick liked it.
Tough about him. Dance with me, honey? You, want to dance with me?
You dance whether you'd put your hands on him.
What?
I couldn't stand that.
Nick.
All I did was say goodbye to everybody. What are you going to do, Brock?
No. Don't do it, Nick.
He's going to.
No. Please, Nick, no.
Say a pretty word before you die.
No, please.
No, it's over, baby.
Now we'll get a doctor.
No. Too late, baby. But it was fun. Wasn't it fun, Sheila?
Nick, don't die.
Baby.
Nick!
Now, here's your receipt, officer.
Received by St. James Infirmary, one body dead on arrival. Brock Garvey. Also received one Nick Volpe. Died 5 minutes after arrival. Right. Now, what's she doing in there?
The girl? Oh, just standing by his table staring at him.
Get her.
Okay. Hey, miss. Policeman wants you. He says you gotta go with him now. Here she is, officer.
You see what you wanted to see, miss?
I saw my Nicky all stretched out on the table. So sweet, so cold, so fair. Let him go and bless him. Wherever he may be, he can look this wide world over. He'll never find a sweet gal like me.
Suspense. Presented by Autolite. Tonight's star, Miss Rosemary Clooney.
This is Harlow Wilcox again, speaking for Autolite, world's largest independent manufacturer of automotive electrical equipment. Autolite is proud to serve the greatest names in the industry. That's why during these early months of 53, the Autolite family joins in saluting the leading car manufacturers who install Autolite products as original equipment. Our Autolite family is made up of some 30,000 men and women in 28 great Autolite plants from coast to coast and in still other Autolite plants in many foreign countries. And more than 18,000 people who have invested a portion of their savings in Autolite, as well as 98,000 Autolite distributors and dealers in the United States and thousands more in Canada and throughout the world. Our Autolite family will salute Willis Overland on the next Autolite Suspense television program. If you live in a television area, check the day and time of Suspense on television so that you will be sure to see this program.
Next week, the story about a man who felt he was bigger and more important than anything else in the world and lost his life trying to prove it. The story is called The Storm. Our star, Mr. Frank Lovejoy. That's next week on Suspense. Suspense is produced and directed by Elliot Lewis, with music composed by Lucian Morowick and conducted by Lud Gluskin. St. James Infirmary Blues was written for Suspense by Morton Fine and David Friedkin. In tonight's story, Anthony Barrett was heard as Nick and William Conrad as Brock. Others in the cast were Billy Hallop, Joseph Kearns, Clayton Post, Vivi Janis, and Shep Menken.
Rosemary Clooney can currently be seen as the star of the Paramount picture, The Stars Are Singing.
And remember, next week, Mr. Frank Lovejoy in The Storm.
This is the CBS Radio Network.
Oboler's Plays.
On the winds of the night, we bring you a story whispered in the night. Scene, a room in semi-darkness. At a table sits a man, tall, gaunt, his heavy face lit occasionally by a random beam of light reflecting off the polished barrel of a revolver. This is Paul Martin. As the revolver twists in his nervous fingers, the thoughts in his mind twist and turn, twist and turn.
Gun in my hand. In all my life, I've never had a gun in my hand. Smooth gun, hard gun, cold in my hand. Bullet won't be cold. Warm bullet, hot bullet, burning hot, hot as the blood. No, can't think of that. Lift the muzzle of the gun. Hole as black as where I'm going, one-way entrance to eternal blackness. Turn the muzzle up and press the trigger. Trigger cold against my finger, cold as death, but life is colder. Rhythm to that. Poet dies with final rhythm. Poet dies who never wrote a poem. Headline for the tabloids. Poet dies with final rhythm.
Ugliest man in the world is suicide.
Poet dies with final rhythm.
Ugliest man in the world is suicide.
Poet dies in final rhythm.
Ugliest man in the world is suicide.
Poet dies in final rhythm.
Ugliest man in the world is...
Ugliest man in the world. All right. I'll think the thing for the last time, tear the words around in my head over and over the way they've torn for 30 years. Ugliest man in the world, ugliest man in the world, ugliest man in the world. Press the trigger and stop it. Press the trigger. No, I can't. Got to wait. Wait for what? For nothing. Nothing if I press the trigger. Nothing if I wait. Press the trigger. No. My chance. Yes, my chance to think. Think it all out clearly for the first time in my life. How it started. Why it's ending this way. Think it all out clearly from the very start. Then press the trigger.
School today, Paul.
There's a start. First day of school. How old was I? 9 or 10. She kept me home away from others. I didn't know why until that day she said...
School today, Paul.
I said...
All right, Mother.
She took me to school into a room full of more children than I'd ever seen. I was so happy. I wondered why her face was white and set. She said...
Miss Edwards, this is my son. I want him in your class. Please, be kind to him.
Before the teacher could answer, Mother hurried out of the room and left me there. Teacher's eyes were on me. Small eyes. Worried eyes. Thin mouth open, turned to the faces lifting below her.
Your attention, children. I want you to meet a new classmate. His name is
Paul Martin.
For a moment, not a sound. Row on row of children looking up at me, staring up at me, gaping up at me. And then... one of them started laughing. Another laughing. Another and another. Laughing. I stood there, little boy, looking down at their twisting mouths, my ears filled with the sound of them, making fun of me, I knew, but why? Why?
Ugliest boy in the world.
Ugliest boy in the world. That's why you kept me away from children, Mother. Kept me away until you didn't dare to any longer. Oh, Mother. Mother. Before you let others see me, why didn't you close your hands around my neck, put a knife in my heart, drown me, bury me, put me away where eyes couldn't see me, laughter couldn't reach me? Why didn't you, Mother? But you didn't. So this was my boyhood. Tears. Tears without end. A boyhood of tears. A boyhood of tears. Took me out of school, kept me away from all the others. What good was it? I knew.
There wasn't a mirror in the house.
Not a mirror. I didn't dare. You didn't dare. Not a mirror until that day you died.
We have committed your beloved to the keeping of the Mother Earth which bears us all. Cherish the memory of her words and deeds and character. Good night, my boy.
Alone. So quiet in the house. I sat down. So quiet. And then suddenly, as if the clock were talking to me. Yes, I remember. Look at yourself. Look at yourself. Look at myself. That's what I do. Never had looked at myself, never had seen what I looked like. I hadn't dared, I hadn't wanted to, but now I had to know. I had to. A mirror, I had to find a mirror. Surely Mother kept one mirror somewhere. Drawer after drawer. A mirror. Surely there was a mirror. Mother gone. I was alone. A light to make. My face? Perhaps it wasn't. A mirror. Yes, there was one. Wrapped and hidden where she thought I'd never find it. Tore the paper off. I kept my eyes shut until the glass was clear. And then I looked. Ah! My face. Can I bear the memory of my face? Can I think of it even now, gun in my hand? Yes, I will. What did I see? What is my face? A brow? No brow. A thing that sloped away sharply, quickly, like a peaked roof half fallen in. Nose? A thick wad of ugly flesh protruding out between two close-set eyes. My eyes. Mother of God, my eyes. Two tiny red-rimmed, green-flecked globes that stood out far beyond the lids and twinkled like a fat, round pig's. My eyes. That was why they laughed at me, my eyes.
Ugliest man in the world.
Yes, I was that. No longer boy. Ugliest man in the world. Not even tears could help me now. The world outside. At last I had to go out into it. Make a living. Get a job.
Job? You want a job?
Job.
What do you think I'm running, the circus sideshow?
Job.
Get out. Circus sideshow. Circus sideshow. Circus sideshow. Sideshow.
Wasn't bad there. No.
That's what I said. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I said. The ugliest man in the world at only a dime, the very small part of $1. Something to talk about, something to tell your children in advance, something when you get home.
Didn't mind after a while, faces looking up at me again, staring, whispering, getting their dime's worth feeler, talking, faces staring, whispers, snickers. Didn't mind. Why should I? I could get away from them. Just stand there in the noise and laughter and leave them far behind. Leave the smell of them and the noise of them and the twisting faces of them. Shut my eyes and leave them quickly. I'd be in a field, sun-drenched, face to the sky, the warm sun touching me, the soft grass cushioning me, my arms outstretched. All around me such peace and loveliness. I'd lie there so happy. And then a breeze touching my face. And a small white cloud in the sky. And then another. And all at once the clouds were like a woman's face. Looking down at me. A woman. A woman was a woman.
Hello, big fella.
Oh, hello.
Hell of a day, huh?
Yes.
Sure give you a big play. I mean the yokels, don't they?
Yes.
Me, I'm with Sammy Morton. You know, the grind show. Not one of the strippers, you understand. I do a high-class number. You know, semi-classical. Sure been a long, hot day, ain't it?
It has.
Nice, walking in the dark. I mean, the air's kind of different than it is here on the Midway. Yeah, nice in the dark. Awful nice.
There was a woman.
Let's stop walking.
All right.
It's nice, ain't it?
Do you like the moon?
Moon? Oh, sure. You been, working in 10 shows long, big fella?
So complete, the moon?
Boy, you sure pack 'em in. I heard tell you sell more pictures than anybody in the show. Dimes sure add up, don't they?
I don't think of money very much.
Oh, me, I don't either. I just like people, or I don't. Who cares what they got?
It's very kind of you.
Kind? What do you mean?
You? Me?
Yeah.
Your face. Did you ever look down from the clouds?
You mean have I ever been high? I'm high now. I like the dark, big fella.
There was a woman. Talking. They were talking.
Yeah, sure, Sam. What do you take me for, a chump? Well, what do you think? Face makes me sick just to look at him. But he's got a pocket full of dough. My face up in the clouds. That's good, eh, Sam? So I keep looking up and I don't have to see his mug. So we get along fine. And last week I got a telegram from her mama. Poor mama and the mortgage. And yesterday, while he was looking at me up in the clouds, I got another handful of bucks. And maybe in a couple of weeks I'll get... You. All right, so you heard. So what? What are you staring at? I don't like your face. You heard me? I don't like your face.
I gave you...
You gave me a couple of laughs. That's all a face like yours is good for the laughs.
Love.
Love? Do you hear that, love? Do you think any woman could love a mug like yours? It ain't a face, it's a mug, a puss, a pan. Go on, beat it, get out of here. No more walks with me, big fella. I've had a belly full of laughs and I'm... Hey, what are you... No, stay away from me, don't...
Go on, beat it. Get out. Yeah, get out as far as I could get out. Any place. Anywhere. Any place, anywhere. Get away. Yeah, got away. Good and far away. Fields, grain, a farm. They didn't care what kind of a face. Just work hard. Work. Hour after hour, sweat salt on my lips. Work, keep working. You don't think when you work. Hour after hour, day after day, the sun over the fields frying your brain. And I couldn't think. It was good. I couldn't think. But I'm thinking now. Gun in my hand. Stop that thinking. Gun in my hand. No. Got to think out my life. Think it out clearly. Think of that day. She waved at me. Was working. Bent over. Sun hot on my back. Grain thick around me, filling the world, covering, hiding me. I straightened up. Something moving through the grain in the road, climbing the hill. so far away, could hardly tell just what it was. Shaded my eyes from the sun. I saw a woman on horseback. No, so small. Must be a girl. I saw her arm, waved at me. I dropped in the green. I hid. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Let them leave me alone. Leave me alone. The next day and the next, a girl on horseback riding far off there in the roads, waving at me. Waving at me day after day. And one day I didn't drop in the green. I stood. I waved back at her, waving at me, because she couldn't see me. See my
face, Postpan.
So she waved at me, and I waved back. And soon I was waiting for that moment of the day when she'd pass in the distance and her arm would lift toward me. I waited for that. Then I was thinking about her all the time. I had so much time to think in my loneliness. What was she like? What did she look like? Who was she? Where did she come from? What did she look like? What did she look like? I don't remember how. In spite of myself one day, I was hiding in the grain at the edge of the road, waiting for her. I wanted to run, yet I stayed. Wanted to cover my eyes, yet I looked with eyes as big as all my loneliness. Horse knew I was there. She didn't. She started singing a little song as she passed, a song without meaning, warm as the sun. And I saw her. Face as lovely as mine was ugly. Young, lovely, young, lovely. The words tumbled over and over in my head as I watched her go by. Young and lovely, young and lovely, young and lovely, young and... I began to see her face everywhere. In the grain, in the sky, and at night in the dark.
Ugliest man in the world.
Thinking of the loveliest face in the world. I tried to stop it. I couldn't help it. I couldn't. The loneliness in me was a pain I couldn't endure anymore. Again and again, I hid in the grain and watched her go by me. Just a quick moment. And then she was gone. And I was left in loneliness again. I couldn't meet her. I knew that one look at my face and she'd scream, she'd run, yes, even laugh. Laugh, laugh, and if she laughed, I knew my world would end. Crack in the laughter and crush me under. If she couldn't see my face. Yes, if she were blind. Read a book like that somewhere. A woman never saw the man she loved. If she couldn't see me, only know me as I am, my voice, thoughts, my dreams, ambitions, if she couldn't see. Dangerous dreams, daydreams that brought me to a gun in my hand. But I was lonely. I had nothing. So I had dreams of her, blind, not knowing my face, not knowing, and her face close to mine, and her lips. I said it. Yes, I said it over and over again. Mother in heaven, if she were only blind, if she were only blind. Wish, father to the deed. That day, working in the grain, looked up. She was riding by. So early. Why so early? Her little hand waving at me. Then, the rush of an auto. I ran. The grain tearing at me, holding me back. In a moment, she was in my arms.
Help me. Please help me. I can't see. I can't see.
Can't see? I dreamed it, prayed it, and now... What have I done? What have I done?
Concussion. Nerve block.
No, I had nothing to do with it. Just a thought. I had only a thought. But now she couldn't see me as I was. Couldn't see me.
You've been very kind to me, Mr. Martin. Paul.
Music. Everlasting music in my ears.
Come here every day, won't you? It's so good having you to talk to. You've made these wonderful days, Paul.
Music, everlasting music, her voice, being with her, knowing her, and she knowing only that of me which had no ugliness.
such a good mind, Paul. The best I've ever known. I needed a mind like yours, Paul. I'm laughing, Paul, because you've made me so happy. You, Paul. And I bless you for it.
Happy days, endless days, quicksilver days. Then... the day.
Paul, I've been waiting for you.
I wanted to be here sooner, but the grain...
The grain. Is it very tall and bold now, Paul?
Very.
Remember how the grain used to keep us apart? Before I even knew you. I'd wave and the grain was between us. And I never knew you.
Is knowing me important?
Paul.
Do you know me now?
You're the only one I've wanted to be.
Do you know me now?
You know so little about me to ask me that.
You're lovely.
My family, why I came to live out here alone.
So very lovely.
Paul, listen to me. I know you now better than I could if my eyes were open and twice as wise as they ever could have been.
You're lovely.
And so are you.
You've never seen me.
When people have talked together as much as you and I, every little hope and hurt, dream and plan, don't they know more than if they looked at faces? And what do you look like, Paul? No. Let me guess. I've sat here in the dark and seen your face so many times before.
My face?
Yes. Let me tell you. It's a large, zero face. A face that matches up with all the strength of you. Strong, straight mouth. A firm chin. Skin brown, yet soft. A straight nose that's not too small and not too large. And then your eyes.
Eyes?
Oh, yes, your eyes. I'll tell you about your eyes, Paul. They're large and dark and gentle. Gentle is the way of you, Paul. Well, how close was I to knowing you?
Give me your hand.
No, I don't want to touch your face.
You...
Later, yes. But not now, Paul. I want you to read me something.
Read?
Yes, so strange we were talking about faces when I've had this book for you to read to me. One of my favorites. Of a Man with Courage. Look, you know the book?
Cyrano de...
Yes. Cyrano de Bergerac. You read the play, of course.
I never have.
Oh, then I envy you. I wish I'd never read it so that I could read it, hear it all over again. Please read it for me. Here, start any place. Read it, Paul.
Thou lovest her? Tell her. For I do surmise thou art a hero in her eyes.
That was Lebray, Cyrano's friend. Now go on, read Cyrano's speech.
Nay, shall I woo the loveliest maid in France? Look at me, friend. At my poor big devil of a nose. I dream, even I, of loving, beloved. As I dream, my soul expands, exults, soars to fall. I see my profile shadowed on the wall.
You read it with your heart, Paul.
He was ugly.
The rest of him was beauty, just his nose. Read Cyrano's lines, and I'll try to remember Roxane. She was the woman he loved, and he never dared tell her of his love because of his ugliness. Read, Paul, the top of the page. Roxane calls, Sister, oh, sister. Read, Paul.
No, call no one here. Ere you come back, I should have gone away. I longed for harmony to end my day.
I love you. Live.
In fairy tales long since, the princess said that, and the ugly prince lost all his plainness in that sudden sun. But see, I finish as I was begun.
I made your grief. I.
You made my bliss. I lacked all woman's kindness. Even this My mother found me ugly. And I had no sister. Lest they mock an ugly lad, I shunned all women. You became my friend. One soft gown brushed my path before the end.
And then the moon comes out, and Lebre says, thy other love. Cyrano loves the moon.
Welcome, fair friend above.
I loved but once, and twice I lose my love.
I loved but once. Twice I lose my love.
Oh, you cry.
Cry? What is there to cry about?
It's true there's no reason to cry, just to play. In life, no man would be such a fool.
Goodbye.
Goodbye? What? No, Paul. Paul, don't leave me now. I haven't had a chance to tell you. Tomorrow I go.
You?
My family. I'm strong enough to be moved now.
Where?
Paul, we've talked so much of anything and everything, but never of this. My eye. An operation. I'll see again. That's why I didn't want to see your face with my hands, Paul. I'll see you with my eyes. See you with my eyes.
See you again, see you again. See what? A face to laugh at.
Ugliest man in the world.
A face to jeer at.
Put the pan of mother.
Face to shout at, but not to love, not to love. Never will I, so long as I am master, let beauty so divine meet such disaster. Ugliness, mar perfection, Cyrano. Read you 1,000 times because she read you. The author gave you a paper nose, but my ugliness is flesh and blood. Flesh and blood to see and hate. You'll never see me, never, never. Lift the muzzle. Press the trigger. Trigger cold against my finger, cold as death, but life is colder. Thoughts in my mind like a whirling circle.
Ugliest man in the world.
Press the trigger, press the trigger, press the trigger, press the trigger, press the trigger.
Paul.
Who is it?
Paul. Paul, where's the light?
You see.
It's been weeks. I've been searching. Where's the light, Paul?
Forget me.
So dark. In your hand. Oh, Paul.
I wasted too much time thinking.
Oh, my dear.
Forget me, I tell you. You knew me in the dark. Well, now it's light for you, and I'm not meant for the light. Forget me.
I want to know you in the light. You're ugly. Yes, Paul, I've known. First when you cried with Cyrano, and then I asked the others, and they told me.
But you don't know. My face, a thing.
A thing. My blindness was apart from me. I love you.
Love.
Love you. Yes, I love you.
You don't know.
But I will know. Turn on the light, Paul. I'm not afraid. Turn on the light. I love you. Live. For me.
In fairy tales long since, the princess said that. And the ugly prince lost all his plainness in that sudden sun.
The Ugliest Man in the World was written by Art Oboler. The leading parts were played by Raymond Edward Johnson, Anne Shepard, and Betty Kane. Because the play is the first in the new series of Arch Oboler's plays, we've asked the author to be present and speak to you. Mr. Oboler.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say briefly that the primary purpose of this series is entertainment. But you'll agree that entertainment devoid of ideas is not very satisfactory fare to any of us in the long run. And the National Broadcasting Company has been good enough to give me an opportunity each week to express some ideas which I hope will interest, stimulate, and entertain you. Within the bounds of good reason, my imagination is going to be allowed to rove. And in preparing these broadcasts, it's already been doing quite a lot of roving. Next week, we're going to bring you a play called Mirage, starring Miss Joan Blaine and Mr. Raymond Johnson. It's quite a different play from tonight's opening drama, The Ugliest Man in the World. So, in hopes that you've liked our first play and will come roaming on the night wind with us next week, I say to you all, good night.
Arch Oboler's plays.
And the winds of the night we bring you a story whispered in the night.
Arch Oboler's Plays is a presentation of the National Broadcasting Company, RCA Building, Radio City, New York.
This has been a RadioClassics.com presentation. Programs are copyright their respective owners. All rights reserved.
I am the Whistler, and I know many things, for I walk by night. I know many strange tales hidden in the hearts of men and women who have stepped into the shadows. Yes, I know the nameless terrors of which they dare not speak.
And now for the Whistler's strange story, Final Papers.
On a clear morning, you could see Catalina Island from the Craig's hilltop home. But Anna Craig was not interested in the view. No. As she paced up and down the terrace, her eye was on the long, winding road leading to the house. She was waiting for the mailman. Waiting. That's all you've been doing lately, isn't it, Anna? But you're certain that it can't be much longer. Then you see Mrs. Owens, your housekeeper, coming toward you and smiling.
Mrs. Craig, here's a letter for you. I think perhaps it's the one you've been waiting for.
Oh, Mrs. Owens.
Well, is it?
Yes. My notice to come to the Hall of Justice in 2 weeks. I'm to be sworn in as an American citizen.
Oh, your final papers. Oh, my. It seems like yesterday that Mr. Craig came back from his business trip to Europe and brought you with him.
It's been 3 years, Mrs. Owens. 3 long years.
Oh, Mr. Craig will be excited. Are you going to phone him and tell him?
No, it's Wednesday. I always go down to the office on Wednesday to have lunch with him. I'll tell him then.
You be careful in the traffic. So excited, I mean. And going down the mountain to the highway, it's dangerous.
Oh, Mrs. Owens, you're so sweet. But don't worry about me. I've learned to handle a car very well now.
Yes, but you've so much on your mind today. And I don't blame you. I know what this means to you.
But Mrs. Owens doesn't know what it means to you, does she, Anna? No, she hasn't the faintest suspicion. And neither has your husband, Stanley Craig, who divides his time between his legal business and his hobby of raising rare plants. No, he doesn't know that your marriage to him was all part of a plan. A plan to enter the country as the wife of an American, to help you in getting your citizenship sooner, only to divorce him and bring in your sweetheart, Kurt Lawson. Now it's all so close, and you feel a thrill of excitement which only increases on your trip downtown. And then entering your husband's office, you collide with a woman who is just coming out.
I'm terribly sorry. It's quite all right. I was thinking about something. It was stupid of me. Don't mention it.
Oh, hello, Mrs. Craig.
Hello, Miss Brown. Is my husband busy as usual?
Well, he's had a very full morning, but he'll see you. Go right in.
Oh, Anna, my dear. Oh, what a morning.
More immigration cases?
Oh, yes. Woman just left here who gave me a very bad time. She was absolutely insistent that I take her case.
And you refused?
Oh, I was forced to do so. I don't like her background. By the way, you may have heard of her. She's from your own country, come to think of it.
Oh, and her name?
Lisa Felder.
Lisa Felder. No,
In spite of everything that can be done, undesirable people do get into this country. But they're usually detected and sent back.
And that is the case of this Lisa Felder?
Yes. Her past has come to light. She was mixed up in some pretty bad political business abroad.
The name Lisa Felder gives you quite a start, doesn't it, Anna? You know now that Lisa is the woman you bumped into as you entered the office. If that chance meeting had taken place under different circumstances, in front of Stanley, for instance, it would have been very awkward, wouldn't it? It might have thrown suspicion on your own European political connections. You become increasingly nervous as you think about Lisa. Wonder if she recognized you. Later in the afternoon, you have the answer. A phone call, and it's Lisa.
I wasn't able to place you at first, Mrs. Craig, but the consul helped me. It's been a long time.
Yes, it has.
I hate presuming on our former acquaintanceship in Europe, but I must see you, talk to you. I should like to come out to your house tonight.
Well, we live in a very remote spot. It's not easily reached.
Then perhaps you should like to meet me in Beverly Hills for lunch tomorrow?
I have an engagement.
I know a small restaurant, Northcliffe's. We could talk quietly.
No,
We could talk about Kurt Lassen. You used to know him rather well, I believe.
Why, yes, long ago, but...
I'll be waiting for you at Northcliffe's at 1, Mrs. Craig. I'm sure you'll be there.
I might as well lay my cards on the table, Mrs. Craig. I'm in trouble, and I need a good lawyer.
But there are many good lawyers in town.
Not like your husband. Stanley Craig is considered tops where immigration is concerned.
But you say you have asked him, and he has refused your case.
He refused me, but he will not refuse you.
I never interfere in his business.
This time you must. Simply tell him you have a friend who is in a little difficulty. She had to make some false statements in order to get into the country. The same false statements that you made. Or you wouldn't be here either.
I can't do that.
Oh, yes, you can. You'll have to. I'll tell him myself.
You wouldn't.
I'm desperate, Mrs. Craig. So, I'm determined. I'm sorry, but if I am deported, the wife of Stanley Craig will be deported too. Her own papers will be reviewed.
But that won't help you, Lisa.
No, but you won't let it happen. Now, you'll talk to him tonight?
Yes. But Stanley must not know that I was forced into doing this.
Not unless it is necessary.
I will merely tell him that I know of a fellow countrywoman who needs a little help.
That's right. A fellow countrywoman who needs a little help. And she had better get that help, Mrs. Craig.
Well, Anna, you're in a panic when you leave Lisa Felder, aren't you? But then you realize that if your husband Stanley can be persuaded to take Lisa Felder's case, it will be weeks before he gets all the facts. By that time, you will have your own citizenship papers and will have gone to Reno for a divorce. But you have to settle the matter tonight, don't you? And it's very disconcerting with Stanley bringing home a guest for dinner, a professor of pharmaceutical botany at the university. And after dinner, the two men spent a long time discussing Stanley's unique hobby of rare plants. Finally, you join them in the garden.
Oh, this has been a rare treat, Mrs. Craig. Your husband has some very exciting plants.
I'm sure he has, Professor Leonard.
These new ones he's imported will need a lot of care, Mrs. Craig. I have some suggestions I might give your gardener.
Oh, Stanley will take care of these plants himself, Professor. He's very devoted to his hobby.
As a matter of fact, we don't have a professional gardener. We manage with a couple, Mr. and Mrs. Owens. It's pretty difficult to get help up here so far from the bus line, you know.
Oh, so that reminds me, I mustn't miss the 11 o'clock bus.
Oh, well, then let's walk over to the car. I think Owens is waiting to drive you down the hill.
We usually allow about 20 minutes for the trip. It's such a steep, dangerous road.
Yes, I noticed when we came up. Well, it's certainly been a very pleasant evening.
We're glad to have you, Professor Leonard.
I'll get in touch with you, Mr. Craig. Well, here we are. Thank you again, Mr. Craig.
Not at all.
Goodbye, Mrs. Craig.
Goodbye.
Bye. An exceptional man. He's quite an authority on plants from all over the world. Oh, I'm afraid the evening was a bit dull for you, Anna.
Why, not at all. I know how much your plants mean to you.
Well, wish you could share my interest, Anna. There's some very unusual plants in this new shipment. Why don't you come and have a look at them?
Why, yes. I'd like to.
Oh, good. Now, these are African plants over here. Not much known about them in this country.
That's an odd-looking one. Over there, by itself.
Oh, that's a hybrid plant. Very poisonous, incidentally, particularly the root. I don't know how it'll do here. You know, Anna, plants are like people.
In what way?
Some plants, and some people, too, move from one part of the world to another with ease. You're like that, my dear.
Why, thank you, Stanley.
You've transplanted well. Others don't. For instance, that woman who came to my office yesterday. You know, I told you about her, Lisa Felder.
Oh, yes, Lisa Felder.
She's exactly like a poisoned plant with poisoned roots. She's unsuited to this soil.
But, Stanley, are you sure about this woman, this Lisa Felder?
Oh, well, yes, I'm very sure.
But I thought perhaps you might help her.
Help her?
Why, yes. Look into her case. Investigate thoroughly.
I'll like you, Anna, my dear. Always sweet and sympathetic.
Well, I just feel that she should have every chance to prove her innocence.
She will have that, my dear. Our immigration laws are very just.
But you, Stanley, isn't there something you can do?
No, Anna, nothing. Except follow the dictates of my own conscience.
It's infuriating, isn't it, Anna? Stanley's stubbornness. He's even more righteous than you realized, isn't he? And you know what to expect in your own case if he should learn that there was something the matter with your own papers and background. He wouldn't hesitate to turn his own wife over to the authorities, would he, Anna? No. And by morning, you've decided on a course of action. As soon as Stanley leaves for the office, you telephone Lisa.
Lisa? This is Anna Craig.
You have talked to your husband?
Yes, Lisa, last night.
What did he say?
He'll be glad to help you, Lisa.
Good. When shall I go to his office?
Tomorrow.
Why not today?
I want to see you first. I've thought of a few things that will help you.
I need all the help I can get. Where shall I meet you?
Well, Stanley thinks it isn't wise that we should be seen together. He doesn't want anyone to suspect that he's taking your case because you're a friend of mine.
I can understand that.
By the way, you haven't mentioned to anyone that you know me, have you?
Of course not. Do you think I'm a fool?
Oh, no. No, Lisa. I think you've handled everything exactly right.
It's all you need to know, isn't it, Anna? Calmly, coldly, you decide on a plan, a desperate plan. But if you carry it through successfully, you're sure your worries over Lisa Felder will be over. You arrange to pick up Lisa in front of a drugstore in Beverly Hills and then drive up a secluded canyon. 3 hours later, you park your car in your garage. All next day, things go as usual, but the following evening at dinner, Stanley seems strangely preoccupied.
The government has asked me to go to Europe. While I'm there, I can go to your old country, make an investigation in my free time. Yes, you can come with me, help me, see your native land once more.
But I don't want to ever see Europe again, any part of it. I'll be an American citizen in a few days. I belong here. I never want to leave here, even for a little while.
Why, Anna, my dear, I didn't know you felt so strongly about it.
I do. Oh, Stanley, please give up this trip.
I can't, my dear. I've already agreed to go. But you needn't go if you don't want to. I'll go alone, and I'll be back soon. I'll fly both ways.
Well, Anna, things have taken a strange turn, haven't they? If Stanley goes to Europe to investigate Lisa Felder, he's certain to find out about you at the same time, isn't he? Your falsified papers, perhaps even your plans to bring Kurt Lassen into the country. Yes. If Stanley insists on this trip, you'll have to stop him by more forceful means, won't you? The next afternoon, you're out on the terrace when an idea comes to you. The poison plant in Stanley's garden. You enter the garden to look about when Stanley surprises you.
Well, Anna, I didn't expect to find you here, finally getting interested in my plants.
Why, yes, Stanley, perhaps I am. But I didn't know you were home.
It's Saturday.
Oh, of course.
Before I forget it, Professor Leonard's coming up again tomorrow afternoon.
Oh, how nice.
He'll be arriving on the 3 o'clock bus. Servants are off on Sunday, but I can drive down the hill and pick him up myself.
Of course.
You don't mind having a guest with the servants gone, do you, Anna?
Not at all. Mrs. Owens can prepare everything before she leaves.
Oh, good, that's fine. Oh, did you look at the new African plants? Yes, they're doing quite well.
Yes. What about that one over there? Isn't it the one you said had such a poisonous root?
Mm-hmm. I'd rather you didn't go near the plant.
Oh?
It contains enough poison to kill 100 people.
What sort of poison?
Most treacherous kind. It's practically tasteless, has no immediate after effect, but about an hour later, all muscular control is suddenly lost.
Really? How awful.
It is. The brain remains perfectly alert, but it's impossible to control the arms or legs. It's true of several plants of the Cicuta family.
I know so little about such things.
These Italian plants are doing nicely. They should be quite large by the time I get back.
Get back?
Why, yes, dear. I forgot to tell you, I have my passport in order and my plane reservation. I'm leaving for Europe on Monday.
Well, Anna, you'll have to act fast, won't you? But one thing is settled. Stanley has unwittingly filled in the details of a perfect plan for his own death. Yes, the Cicuta plant from Africa. Complete loss of muscular control. What if Stanley should lose such control while driving down the steep, winding grade to pick up Professor Leonard? All you have to do is to serve him his lunch at the proper time. And with the servants away... Yes, it all fits together, doesn't it? But you're surprised the next morning when you enter the kitchen.
Mrs. Owens, you haven't left.
No, and it looks like I'm not going.
But what's the matter?
Oh, Owens can't drive me into town. He went fishing.
But that spoils the day for you.
Oh, no matter. Well, as long as I'm here, I'll serve lunch.
Oh, not on your day off, Mrs. Owens. I won't allow it. I'll tell you. Why don't you go to a movie?
A movie? I'd like that. But how would I get down the hill?
Perhaps Mr. Craig will take you. I'll ask him.
Oh, now, never mind, Mrs. Craig. That'd be too much trouble.
No, it wouldn't. Oh, Stanley?
Oh, yes, my dear?
Mrs. Owens wants to go to a movie. You don't mind driving her down the hill?
No, of course not. But I believe as long as I'm down there, I'll have lunch below and then wait and bring Professor Leonard back up with me.
Oh, no. You'll be gone for 2 or 3 hours, and you're leaving for Europe tomorrow. I want to have lunch with you here.
Of course, my dear, if you wish it.
I do. This may be our last meal alone together. That is, for a long, long time.
You breathe a sigh of relief when Stanley and Mrs. Owens finally start off, don't you, Anna? But you waste no time. You make a salad, go to the garden, get the poison Cicuta plant. Put a bit of the root in Stanley's portion and the rest of the plant down the garbage disposal. By the time Stanley returns, the lunch is ready. The salad is the first course, and you serve it at exactly 1:30. Then engage your husband in conversation and make the meal proceed slowly. Suddenly, you look at the clock.
Stanley, it's nearly 2:30.
Well, so it is. I must go at once. I wouldn't want to keep Professor Leonard waiting.
Of course not.
Walk to the car with me, dear.
Certainly, Stanley.
You know, I hate to leave. It's been so nice being here alone together. I almost wish Professor Leonard weren't coming.
Goodbye, Stanley.
Hello.
Mrs. Craig. This is Professor Leonard.
Oh, yes, Professor. Aren't you with Stanley? He went down the hill to get you some time ago.
Mrs. Craig, there's been an accident, a serious accident.
An accident?
Your husband. He must have lost control of the car. Perhaps the steering gear broke. It's hard to tell.
But Stanley...
I'm so sorry, Mrs. Craig. The car plunged over 100 feet. Your husband was dead when they reached him.
Oh, terrible.
Mrs. Craig, if there's anything I can do, I'll come up at once.
Oh, no. No, thank you, Professor. If you don't mind, I'd rather be alone for the present. Entirely alone.
Well, Anna, it's all over, isn't it? You've eliminated the only two obstacles threatening your happiness and security. Lisa Felder and your husband, Stanley Craig. Now you're sure there's nothing to stop your getting your final citizenship papers and bringing your sweetheart, Kurt Lawson, into the country. And you're certain there won't be an autopsy. Not as the result of an automobile accident. No. You feel very safe when you go to bed that night, don't you? And then early in the morning, Mrs. Owens wakes you to say that Professor Leonard must see you at once in the living room.
Good morning, Professor Leonard.
Mrs. Craig. Now, this is unpardonable, I know, but I'm terribly worried.
What is it, Professor?
One of Mr. Craig's plants is missing. A very valuable and a very dangerous one. You know anything about it?
No, I never touched Stanley's plants. Perhaps he destroyed it.
Oh, impossible. He promised it to the University for Pharmaceutical Study. I'd intended to get it yesterday afternoon. I'd better call the police.
Police? You mean you think there's something mysterious about Stanley's death?
Oh, no. But that African cicuta plant is invaluable. The only one in the country.
Oh, of course.
I know what just flashed through your mind, Mrs. Craig. The same thing occurred to me, but, well, I discarded the idea immediately.
What do you mean?
If your husband had been poisoned by that plant, it would explain his accident, complete loss of muscular control. Oh, but that's too fantastic even to think about.
Yes, no one would want to kill Stanley.
Oh, of course not. Why, the police would laugh at such an idea. Unless...
Unless what, Professor?
Unless you had some indication, some tangible proof that he met with foul play.
But what proof could there be?
That cicuta plant was deadly, taken internally. And an autopsy on your husband would show the poison. If the root was cut and the juice of the root came in contact with the skin, well, within 12 to 15 hours, the hands of whoever handled it would become discolored and quite swollen. Unless the culprit took the foresight to wear gloves. I see you didn't wear gloves. Did you, Mrs. Craig?
Featured in tonight's story were Bill Foreman as the Whistler, Gladys Holland, Joe Kearns, Yana DeLos, John Stevenson, and Gail Bonney. The Whistler was produced and directed by George W. Allen, with story by George Adrian and Carol Nix, music by Wilbur Hatch, and was transmitted overseas by the Armed Forces Radio Service. The Whistler was entirely fictional, and all characters portrayed on The Whistler are also fictional. Any similarity of names or resemblance to persons living or dead.
This is Orson Welles, speaking from London. The Black Museum, a repository of death. Here in the grim stone structure on the Thames, which houses Scotland Yard, is a warehouse of homicide, where everyday objects, a milk bottle, a woman's hairnet, a bit of flypaper, all are touched by murder. Near the doctor's prescription. It's a familiar object. You don't think twice about it. You have a cold, a sore throat. The doctor comes, gives you a prescription, piece of paper with symbols scrawled on it.
Here you are, nurse. I've used a different compound this time. Number 1778 in place of 2032.
Is this sound stronger than what you've been getting?
Yes, there's a bit more of the morphia in this prescription.
Well, today that same piece of paper, that prescription, is in the Black Museum.
From the annals of the Criminal Investigation Department of the London Police, we bring you the dramatic stories of the crimes recorded by the objects in Scotland Yard's Gallery of Death, the Black Museum. In just a moment, you will hear The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles. Now, The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles.
Well, here we are, in the Black Museum, Scotland Yard's Museum of Murder. These objects all around represent the final distillation of that most final act of all, the taking of a human life by another human being. Here lies death. In serried, ordered ranks, the things of which death is made lie here, quiescent now that once so vile, so unavoidable, so inevitably complete. The stiletto, thing of cruel beauty, the jewel scabbard. No blood sullied this stiletto blade ever, but this was the arrow, the pointing finger, which led to death by the hangman's rope. Yes, and here's the prescription, scrawled almost unintelligible, in the traditional corkscrew of the doctor's penmanship, and marked in the chemist's writing, filled. Ironic, but true. Almost as ironic as the beginning of the story, because the beginning is an errand of affection and kindly care. You see, John Begley was a nephew and cousin who did his best for his family.
And so, if you don't mind, Miss Smith, I want to be certain that my aunt, she's well past 80, you see, and my cousin will have the best of care.
I understand perfectly, Mr. Begley. I've been taking care of patients in my house now for almost 5 years. I can show you letters of reference, but I prefer it if you inspected my house first. That way...
To May Smith, a routine call. A routine inspection. To John Begley, a matter of some importance, but apparently Mr. Begley was quite satisfied with what he saw.
I must say, Miss Smith, you do well by your patients.
I'm a nurse, sir, and I've dedicated myself to the proper care of the sick.
Oh, to be congratulated. May I ask what the charges will be?
Your aunt is, I take it, a hopeless invalid.
And has been for a good many years. My cousin June has a progressive nervous disorder. Sometimes she's quite completely paralyzed. Then she has remissions.
Oh, I see. Would it be multiple sclerosis?
I think that's the name of it. In any case, she can care for her own needs to a great extent, except when she has these seizures.
Would £15 per week for each of them be within their means, with board and so on included?
Oh, yes, they have means. You see, my uncle, by marriage, that is, Mr. Dawson, he left them a comfortable income.
No problems there. Everything perfectly respectable and not a thought of trouble in the mind of anyone concerned. Martha Dawson and her daughter June came to stay in the care of Nurse May Smith. Not a registered nursing home, you understand, but a nice place and a competent nurse in charge with a good doctor on call. All of which was borne out the afternoon some months later when John came to visit his aunt and his cousin.
May is sweet. So considerate.
Oh, it's May already, is it?
Oh, why not, John? She's as good to me as June would be if she were able. I wish I were able, Mother. But you're not, poor dear. And May is a fine substitute.
One of the family, eh?
Yes, John. John?
Yes, my dear?
I'm not getting any younger.
Here, now, none of that kind of talk.
I mean it. I'm getting on. 55 is well into middle age. I've been thinking about my will, John.
As your next of kin, I think you ought to discuss it with me.
I'm serious, John. Listen to her, John. In all probability, I shall go first, and June will have everything her father left.
All right, Aunt Martha. Go ahead, June.
Well, I've been watching May, you see. She has practically nothing of her own, except this house and a rather precarious income from her patients. I've been thinking of making her a partial heir. But since you're the main one, John, I thought I'd ask you first.
I'm doing all right, dear. No worry on that score. Only take my advice. Be sure before you leap. Money is a strange thing, you know.
June listened to her cousin John. But what she thought he was advising, well, that was something else again.
May, I'd like to talk with you. Of course, my dear. Go right ahead. I'm making my will over again. Now, that's fine talk. You and the will, whatever for? To make you my principal heir. June, really? You mustn't do anything of the kind. I'm sure your nice cousin won't like it a bit. Oh, I've discussed it with him. He doesn't mind in the least. In any case, people with their lives ahead of them mustn't think about dying. Then it's high time I began to think about it. June, dear, let me tell you something. You're going to live so long and pay me £15 a week for so many years that you won't have anything to leave anybody. That's not so. My income will take care of me as long as I live. And John certainly doesn't need the principal. You will. You see, May, I know about the real nursing home you've always wanted. And the cottages and house that are the basis of what Father left Mother and me will be just perfect for you. When the time comes. You stop this kind of talk, June Dawson. That's nurse's orders. I don't want to hear it. I simply refuse to listen to you.
A word can be like a stone in a pool of water, the splash, the first ripple. And then wider and wider go the circles. The stone disappears, but it's there, lying at the bottom of the pool, even when the surface has become still again.
This box of candy, Johnny sent it. Will you have some? Thank you, Mother. Now, what shall I have? Nougat or a cream? You've had 3 already. You know sweets aren't really good for you. June is right, Aunt Martha. Now, you let me have that box. I'm going to save you from temptation and keep the box in my office. And you may have a piece after dinner and one after luncheon each day. The way you boss me. You'd think you were twice my age instead of the other way round. You're a good person, May. You really are. Am I? Just because I do my job?
Yes, the care was good. And the 3 women obviously were very fond of each other. But did you notice the phrase, save you from temptation? Would a psychologist call that a Freudian slip of some kind? I wonder now. And who was saving whom? And from what? Certainly Dr. Lewin, the attending physician, thought merely that people were being saved from pain, and with conscientious care.
I've been in to see Mrs. Dawson, nurse.
I'm glad. How do you find her, Doctor?
She's failing rapidly. Oh, it's too bad. She's a splendid old lady, despite her bad physical condition.
Does Miss Dawson realize her mother's condition?
I'm sure she does. She's a brave woman.
And a self-sacrificing daughter, if ever I saw one.
No question about that. Well, it must come to all of us one day. Death, I mean. Now then, have you the final reports on the terminal care for Mrs. Wrightson?
Yes, sir. Right here in the file. And for Mrs. Richter.
Thank you, nurse. You know, you really ought to qualify as a proper nursing home. You know your business, Miss Smith.
Thank you, Doctor. Well, regulations are strict and expensive to fulfill. Now, on these two cases, Doctor, you prescribed morphia towards the end, you remember? And you let me have a supply. I keep the dangerous drugs in here. And I have some of the tablets left. I'd like to return them, if I may.
Very well. Dangerous drug, morphia. Just as well not to have it around, even under lock and key.
A dangerous drug. Tempting. But there's another drug, or so it may be called at times, a temptation certainly. Seems to have the power to dull the perceptions and the consciences of people, much as morphia does at a time. This drug is money.
There it is. My will. Remade. Johnson, will you sign here, please?
Yes, ma'am.
The papers were signed, put away. A will, an inheritance, a gesture from a grateful woman to a friend in need. That was all. An incident over, closed, with a period put to it as the pen stopped its scratching, as in a few weeks a heart stopped beating.
At least she died without pain.
In her sleep, Doctor. Around midnight.
How's Miss Dawson taking it?
Quite well. Would you like to see her?
Perhaps I'd better. A sedative may be indicated.
She's in her room. This way. Can I expect any reaction in June's own trouble?
A disease of the nervous system like hers? There may be some trouble now, even when she's taking this blow so well.
I know. Here we are, sir.
Ah, Miss Dawson. May I express my sympathy?
Thank you, Doctor. Mother suffered enough in this world. I pray she has peace in the next.
I trust she will. Miss Smith is worried about you now.
I do feel a bit upset. I hope I'm not going to have any after effects.
Have you noticed any signs?
My legs feel so heavy. That's usually a sign. And my fingertips on my right hand, they seem to have lost the sense of touch.
Well, you just let me prescribe a sedative, my dear. With some sleep, you'll be fine. Even when we expect something like this, it's still a shock. There we are, nurse.
Thank you, Doctor. Now you lie down, June. As Doctor says, even when you expect something, it's still a shock.
Yes, a shock indeed. Perhaps not unconnected with a piece of paper, a prescription, which can be seen today in the Black Museum.
In just a moment, we will continue with The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles. And now we continue with The Black Museum, starring Orson Welles.
The words they use are polite. Terminal care. They carry many connotations. An end to pain. An easing off from weary illness. A quiet kind of death. However, they do not mean a helping hand to death.
Doctor, poor Miss Dawson doesn't seem to be getting much relief from the sedative you gave her. I'm afraid the funeral and all the details have been too much for her.
I've been expecting that. She's worse then.
Yes. Her right side is paralyzed. Doctor, June's become more than a patient. I don't want to lose her, too.
I understand, Miss Smith. Now, don't worry about that. Chances are Miss Dawson will live for quite a few years yet. Now, in the meantime... here you are, nurse. I've used a different compound this time. Number 1778 in place of 2032.
Is this one stronger than what she's been getting?
Yes, there's a bit more of the morphia in this prescription.
Yes, let us ease the pain and relieve the suffering. This is a great career to comfort and aid the sick. One does many things to help a sufferer.
Dr. Lewin, Miss Dawson has asked a peculiar question. I don't like it.
What is it?
She wants to know how one can be cremated.
Oh, she's thinking about that, is she?
Well, she hates her body. I think she wants to feel it will be completely destroyed as soon as she is gone.
Now, can't you get her mind off this?
Well, I try. I've been spending as much time as I can with her, but she keeps coming back to that same question. I'll have to satisfy her, I'm afraid.
Well, you tell her she can put the direction in her will if she has one, or she can leave a letter properly witnessed ordering disposal by cremation. Then, when she dies, whoever is left behind applies to the Registrar of Deaths for permission. The rest will be taken care of by a licensed mortician. Ugh. What thoughts on such a pleasant day?
She seems so terribly depressed. What can I do, Doctor?
Just do your best to keep her mind busy.
June Dawson, depressed, half paralyzed, and facing several years of a kind of half-life. Not pleasant. No, definitely. Cousin John Begley was very upset about it.
I don't like it, Miss Smith. June shows no improvement at all.
I'm upset by it as much as anyone.
Yes, I suppose you are.
What do you mean by that, Mr. Begley, if I may ask?
If she dies, no more £15 per week for you.
I resent that, Mr. Begley.
Yes, I suppose you should. Particularly since my cousin made that new will.
Do you know its contents?
She hasn't disclosed them to me, but I can guess. Do you know them?
I can't say I do.
Wise of my cousin to keep her will a secret, particularly since her estate will be worth at least £4,000, if not more.
A large amount of money and a small lie. Interesting combination. Of course, one can hardly blame this. It's not Cousin John's business what's in that will if June doesn't care to tell him. In any case, other events impend which will have a bearing on the matter.
Quickly. Almost as if she'd wished herself to death.
Why didn't you call me?
And it was 1 a.m. She seemed to be sleeping, except her breathing was peculiar. I tried to rouse her, and she answered me. I left her. 215 Johnson, who was on the night desk this week, called me. She'd run for help, and I rushed in. She still had the cord in her hand, and she was...
Well, it happens that way. Something gives up. This was a cerebral hemorrhage, as far as I can judge, without an autopsy. I'll state so on the death certificate.
Very well, Doctor. Oh, I feel so ineffectual at the moment. You see, she was more than a patient. She was my friend.
I understand. Now, you'll be all right in a day or so after the internment.
Oh, Doctor. She wrote a letter, insisted on it, after I told her what you said.
What I said?
About the cremation.
Oh, that. Oh, yes, I remember. Yes, very well. You'll need the form request to fill out. I'll send one over. You can make it out, attach the letter, and take it to the registrar. He happens to be the health officer in Nottingham as well.
Oh, thank God.
Now then, I'll make out the certificate.
No problems. Just the grief over a lost friend. Make out the papers. Call in Johnson, the faithful servant.
Johnson?
Yes, miss?
I have an errand for you. Dr. Lewin sent this form over. It's all filled out. I want you to take it to the health officer. You know where, don't you?
Yes, of course, miss.
And be sure you file this letter with it. Now, you remember witnessing Miss Dawson's signature on this letter, don't you?
Oh, yes, of course I do.
Johnson did as he was told. It was his job, no questions asked. However, the registrar at the health office did have a question or two.
You work at this place for this Smith woman, do you?
Yes, sir, I do.
The form here says nursing home. Is that what it is?
Oh, I suppose so, sir.
Well, don't you know?
Well, there's only a few patients, and it's Smith's own house.
Oh, one of those, I see. I thought there was no registered nursing home at that address. I happen to be in charge of those records myself.
She never called it a nursing home before, sir. She always wants one, of course. Talks about it a lot. Says it costs a lot of money.
Yes, it does.
Will it be all right for me to tell her to go ahead with things now, sir?
No, not just yet. I'll want to get confirmation of this cremation request from a relative, too, if possible. I imagine the family will claim the body. We'll tell your employer we'll be in touch with her.
Strange, isn't it? An ambition and desire so near fulfillment. And Nurse Smith fills out an official form as if the ambition had already been fulfilled. 2 words. Wheels begin to turn. Nurse Smith has an unexpected caller.
You wanted to see me, sir?
Yes. My name is Liggett, Inspector Liggett, Scotland Yard.
Sit down, please, Inspector.
Thank you.
What can I do for you, Inspector?
Did you know there's been a post-mortem on Miss June Dawson?
No, I didn't. Who gave permission?
Next of kin, John Begley.
Oh.
You know him?
He's been a visitor here.
I see. The death certificate said cerebral hemorrhage.
Dr. Lewin told me.
Would you tell me the type of medication you gave the patient?
I have the record book right here. Yes, here it is. Patient in pain in afternoon. Gave 2 tablets as prescribed by Dr. Lewin at 4 p.m. And here's the 8 p.m. entry. Usual dosage of sedative.
What was in those tablets?
Morphia. Dr. Lewin left them with me. 2 on September the 5th, 4 more on September the 12th. You'll find the entries in my drug book.
And in the sedative?
There was morphine in that, too. Dr. Lewin had prescribed an additional dose. He'd increased the compound.
You seem to have all the facts.
I keep careful records.
But nevertheless, Miss Dawson died quite unexpectedly of a stroke.
So the doctor certified. That is not in my province.
No. And the doctor made out the certificate without an autopsy.
He's quite a competent physician.
No doubt. But the fact remains that Miss Dawson did not die of a stroke, Miss Smith.
No? May I ask?
She died of an overdose of morphia. Quite a large overdose. So I'm afraid we shall have to take you in charge until further investigations have either cleared you or brought you to trial either for manslaughter or homicide.
When death masquerades as mercy, when murder hides behind friendship, there's little sympathy for the accused. In this case, where one required to heal stood accused of killing, there was only anger. Nonetheless, justice was well ordered, and the evidence was made quite clear. First, the motive.
Mr. Begley, what do you know of the occasion of your cousin's drawing up a new will in favor of the prisoner?
My cousin discussed it with me.
What did she tell you?
That she felt so grateful to Miss Smith that she wanted to leave her entire estate to this woman.
What is the amount of the estate?
Something over £4,000.
To the best of your knowledge, did the prisoner know the size of the bequest?
I told her myself.
On what occasion?
When I asked if she knew the contents of my cousin's will.
And what did you say to that?
That she did not know. At a subsequent visit with my cousin, I learned that she did know. In fact, her own assistant or helper witnessed the document.
Thank you very much, sir.
And finally, opportunity and access to the drug. Dr. Lewin, a tragic though innocent figure in the case, was the witness.
Doctor, it has been alleged that you gave the prisoner 2 tablets of morphia for the deceased on the 5th of September and 4 more on the 12th. Is this true?
It is not. I never prescribed morphia in that form for this patient.
Did you prescribe it in any other form?
In a sedative, yes. I must confess a slight error, however. The patient had been receiving compound 1778. I later prescribed compound 2032, thinking at the moment that it contained more of the drug than 1778. Later, I discovered it contained less. However, as it seemed to be equally easing to the patient, I did not correct the situation.
Were you urged to add to the morphia?
I was, by Miss Smith.
Have you any idea where the prisoner may have acquired the drug which was used?
During the past year, I have given her small quantities of the drug for use at her discretion, never more than 8 tablets at a time. She has returned a few from time to time. On checking my records, I find I have given her almost 100 tablets.
Is this normal?
In the situation where terminal care is the norm, yes. However, it is perfectly possible that some of the unused tablets were not returned to me.
Now, returning to your prescription, Doctor, do you remember the occasion of your writing it, and why?
I do. It was just after the patient's mother died while under Miss Smith's care. Miss Smith was most anxious for a stronger sedative for the patient, and inquired specifically concerning its comparative strength after I wrote the prescription. She also inquired of me concerning cremation.
The Crown rested its case. The sentence was death by hanging. Well, today that same piece of paper, that prescription, is in the Black Museum.
Mutual presents The Mysterious Traveler.
This is The Mysterious Traveler, inviting you to join me on another journey into the realm of the strange and terrifying. I hope you will enjoy the trip, that it will thrill you a little and chill you a little. So settle back, get a good grip on your nerves, and be comfortable, if you can, as you hear the story I call The Man Who Died Twice. Tonight, we're going to delve into a murder most strange. One that confused many of the greatest legal minds of our day. My story begins in the mansion of Judge Monte, situated high on a hill overlooking a large New England city. It is early evening, and Judge Marshall, one of the state's foremost jurists, is sitting in his library reading a legal brief. As he intently reads, the French door leading to the porch slowly and silently swings open, revealing a huge white-haired man standing in the doorway. His tremendous bent frame shows the remains of a man who's been a giant in his youth. Suddenly, the judge becomes aware that he isn't alone. He quickly turns and sees his visitor.
Who are you? What are you doing here? Don't you remember me, Judge? No, I can't say that I do. Think back. Think back 16 years when you were judge at a murder trial. 16 years? My good man, I presided over a great many murder trials, as you called them, and I still don't know who you are. Just keep looking at me, Judge, and think back. Think back. You do look familiar. I'll help you remember. My name is Adams. Luke Adams. Luke Adams? Yes. Now I remember. I sentenced you to prison for 25 years for killing a man. Yeah, for killing a man. You've aged, so that's why I didn't recognize you. Yes. It's hard to believe I'm only 45, isn't it? I presume you've been paroled? Yes. What do you want? I want to tell you my story, Judge. I want to tell you all the things I never got a chance to tell you at my trial.
As far as I'm concerned, Mr. Adams, the case is closed. Now, if you don't mind,
Then we'll reopen it. I've come to tell you my story, and you're going to listen.
Very well, Mr. Adams. Sit down.
Thank you. I don't know if you recall, Judge, but my wife, Millie, was a beautiful woman.
Yes, I remember. She had the kind of beauty a man can't forget.
Yes. Yes, and I suppose that's what caused it all. Millie and I grew up together. And I guess I loved her from the moment we met. The only reason she married me was because of the money I'd inherited. And when I lost it in 29, things were never the same again between us. She hated living in a small village, trying to stretch $1 into $2. Sometimes I think her smiling at other men was her way of getting revenge on me for the way we had to live. The angrier I got, the more she flirted, till she almost drove me out of my mind. Things went on like that, day after day, month after month.
Here comes Luke.
Hello, Luke. Getting home from work a bit early today, huh?
Yeah.
Your missus and I were just talking about how hot it is.
Yeah.
You must have found it fierce, breaking stone in the quarry in this heat.
Uh-huh.
Well, I've got to be going. See you again.
What was he hanging around for?
He just happened to be going past. Stopped to say hello. Is there anything wrong in that?
It's funny. Every time I see you talking to someone, it's always a man. How come I never see you talking to women?
Because all the women in this village are a bunch of cats. They hate me because I'm beautiful and they're not.
All right. But I'm warning you, I don't want to see Chuck, Riker, or any other men hanging around here. If I do, there's going to be trouble. The days went by. Millie hardly spoke to me. Nothing I said or did seemed to please her. And yet, just knowing she'd be there when I got home was enough for me. And one day I come home from work. She wasn't alone.
Oh, hello, Luke.
Home early, aren't you?
What's he doing here?
Chuck was going past, dropped in to say hello.
Just like that, huh? I thought I told you not to let this happen again.
If Chuck wants to call me, why shouldn't he? Right, Chuck?
Sure. After all, Luke, there's no use being old-fashioned. We've all known each other since we were kids. What harm is there in an old friend dropping in and... Why are you looking at me like that?
There's lipstick on your cheek. You'd better let me wipe it off for you.
Now, wait a minute, Luke. I can explain. There's no use fighting over...
Get up.
Now, wait a minute, Luke. Can't we...
Get up. Talking won't help. You'll have to fight your way out. That's it. Pick up that poker. Come on. What are you waiting for?
Okay, you asked for it. You're going to get it. No.
This'll learn you. Not to hang around other men's wives. Before I'm through with you, no woman will want to look at you.
Stop it. He doesn't. Stop it.
How does he look to you now, Millie? I'll throw him out, then you and I will settle a few things. Come on, you. Out you go. There's a push to start you on your way. There. Now we come to you.
You think I'm afraid of you? Go ahead, hit me. Ruin my looks so no man will ever want to look at me. Go ahead.
Millie, don't talk like that. You know how much I love you. Why are you doing this to me? I know I haven't been able to give you all the things you want, but that's no reason to treat me this way. I won't stand for it, Millie.
All right, then, let's separate. You go your way, and I'll go mine.
No, I couldn't live without you. You know that. I'll never let you go. You're mine, do you hear?
Oh, stop it.
Millie, don't turn away from me.
You'll make me sick.
All right. But I'll never give you up. Never. Millie just stood there looking at me, contempt in her eyes. I knew we were through, and yet I couldn't give her up. I clung to the small hope that something would happen that would change her. Make her feel toward me as I felt about her. Long, lonely weeks went by. I knew that Millie and I had been the scandal of the village ever since the day I'd beaten Chuck Riker. At the quarry, the men whispered to each other when they thought I wasn't looking. And I could only give vent to my rage by smashing rocks into 1,000 small pieces. Then, one day in the autumn, an opportunity came. An opportunity to escape the villages and their gossip. Millie, where are you?
Here. What is it?
Millie, you've always wanted to get away from the village. Now we have a chance.
How?
Well, I met Mr. Anderson this morning. You remember him. He's an old friend of my father's.
What about it?
Well, he owns a small farm which he's willing to sell for only $300 down.
You mean you want to buy it?
Yeah. Just think of it, Millie. A place of our own, 20 miles out in the country, away from the village and the gossip.
Do you really think I'd move to a farm? Cut myself off from everything?
Well, it's what you need, Millie. A home of your own, a place to work and build. You'd love it, Millie. I know you would.
You mean you would? Don't think I don't know what's going on in that head of yours. You want to cut me off from everybody, take me someplace where you can keep an eye on me day and night. Well, I'm not having any part of it.
But, Millie, you said yourself you're not happy here.
Yes, but I don't want a farm. I want to live in a city. I want to have everything that other women have.
But we can't go to the city. There's no work to be had. We're living in a depression.
Are we? Well, if you can't give me what I want, there are plenty of other men who can.
They'd better not try. I'm warning you, Millie, I'll kill any man who tries to take you away from me. Weeks went by. Weeks in which Millie scarcely spoke to me. We lived as strangers in an uneasy truce. I worked from dawn to twilight at the quarry, and as I worked, I could sense the men gossiping about Millie and myself. I would think of Millie and wonder what she was doing at that very moment.
Steve.
Yeah, baby?
I can't stand it anymore. I can't go on living with Luke. The way he stares at me with those big cow-like eyes of his, watching every move I make.
Well, you'll just have to go on putting up with it for the time being.
It's all right for you to say that. You don't have to live with him. Sometimes I wonder if you really love me.
Oh, don't talk like that, baby. You know I love you. Would I be putting my neck out like this if I didn't?
Nobody knows we're meeting secretly.
Maybe not, but sooner or later someone will see us together, and then there'll really be trouble.
Afraid?
I've never run away from a fight yet. I don't mind telling you, I wouldn't like to mix with that gorilla husband of yours.
I know, Steve. You've got to be careful.
Don't worry. I intend to be. Just let me raise some dough, baby. Figure out one or two angles, then you and I'll be off for the big city.
What about Luke? He'd be sure to follow. You don't know what he's like, Steve. He never rests till he found us. And when he did...
Yeah, you don't have to draw me any pictures. I know that type. If we run off, we'd never have a minute's peace. We'd always be wondering when he was going to catch up with us.
Yes. Oh, Steve, what are we going to do?
I don't know, baby. I don't know. We'll just have to sit tight for the time being and be careful not to be seen together.
All right, Steve.
Oh, cheer up, baby. We'll make the big city yet, and until then, we've got this.
Oh, yes, Steve. Yeah. That you?
Yeah, Millie. You want me?
Yes. I've moved all your things up to the attic. I want you to sleep there from now on.
Why?
Because you keep me awake half the night with your tossing and turning, and you talk in your sleep.
I talk in my sleep? What do I say?
You keep yelling my names if I was murdering you or something.
Oh, Millie.
You'll be all right in the attic.
Yes, Millie. Millie, can I talk to you for a minute?
What is it?
I saw Mr. Anderson again today. Millie, he says he's willing to let us live free for a year on his farm so we can see how we like it. And if we do, we can buy it.
I told you before I'm not going to live on any farm.
But, Millie, why can't we just try it? It won't cost us anything. If we don't like it, we can give it up.
No, I tell you, I won't let myself be trapped like that. You're perfectly willing to take a chance on farming, but you won't consider going to the city.
But there are 15 million men out of work.
What chance would I have of getting a job in the city?
If you had an ounce of courage, you'd try. You don't hear men like Steve Hopkins whining about the Depression and trying to make excuses for staying in this miserable hole.
Steve Hopkins, huh? So that's it. You've been seeing Steve Hopkins?
No, I haven't been seeing. You're wrong.
You're lying. It's written all over your face. You're afraid, aren't you? You're afraid of what I'm going to do to Steve Hopkins.
Now, Luke, listen. I tell you, there's nothing between Steve and myself.
When I'm finished with him, you'll never want to look at him again.
Where are you going?
To the village tavern. He's always there on Saturday night.
Luke, come back. Luke, come back.
Hopkins, I want to talk to you.
Well, go ahead, Luke. No one's stopping you.
You've been making a play for my wife, and I don't like it.
You're either drunk or looking for a fight. I haven't spoken to your wife in a year.
You're lying. I know you've been seeing her these past weeks while I've been working.
You better take it easy, Luke. You're getting to the point where you're suspicious of every man in the village.
Don't try to smooth talk me. I know you've been seeing her, and if you try seeing her again, I'll kill you.
You don't frighten me, Luke. And if I wanted to see your wife, not you or anyone else could stop me.
Oh, no? I'll show you.
Hey, boy, grab it.
That's it.
Let go of me. Let go of me.
Hold on, then, boys. Now, Luke, as sheriff of this village, I'd advise you to take it easy.
I'll kill him. I'll kill him.
I don't like that kind of talk. Now, mind your manners. You'll spend the night in the lockup. No man's going to make a fool out of me and live. Now, get hold of yourself. If Steve was seeing your wife, it'd be common gossip in no time. You know that. He may have fooled you folks, Sheriff, but I know better. You can protect him here, but just wait until I catch him alone. Just wait. When I got home that night from the tavern, Millie was in her room, her door locked. I went up to the attic and tried to sleep, but I couldn't. I kept seeing Steve Hopkins' face, the way he'd smiled at me in the tavern. He might have fooled the others, but I knew. And he knew that I did. Hours later, I managed to fall asleep. I dreamt that I was alone with Steve and we were fighting. He kept hitting me, but I couldn't feel his punches. All I could feel was my fist smashing again and again into his laughing face. I woke to hear church bells ringing. It was Sunday morning. All that day, except for meals, Millie avoided me. After supper, she went to her room, and I went down to my workshop in the cellar. The next morning, when I arrived at the quarry, the men were standing around in small groups, talking to each other. They stopped when they saw me. Then from one of the groups, I saw Sheriff Roden coming towards me.
Luke, I want to talk to you.
What about?
A number of things. Is your sledgehammer?
Why, sure. That's my initials on the handle. Why is it all wrapped up in paper?
I'll ask the questions, Luke. Where were you last night around 11 o'clock?
11 o'clock? In my workshop in the basement. Why?
Anybody with you?
Oh, no. I was alone.
Luke, you're under arrest.
Under arrest? What for?
For the murder of Steve Hopkins.
For the murder of Steve Hopkins?
Yes. His body was found in his cabin an hour ago. He'd been brutally beaten to death last night around 11. With this sledgehammer. It was found at the scene of the crime.
You mean you think I did it?
It sure looks that way. Let's go, Luke.
No. No, I won't. I didn't kill Steve Hopkins.
You'll get your chance to prove you didn't. Now, let's go.
No. I didn't do it. I tell you, I'm innocent.
Grab him, man.
Let go of me.
That's it. Hold him while I get these caps on him.
I didn't do it. I tell you, I didn't do it.
Silence in the courtroom. Proceed, Mr. King.
Sheriff, will you tell the jury in your own words the time and circumstances under which you were notified of the death of Stephen Hopkins?
On October 12th of last year, I received a phone call at 7 o'clock a.m. from Sam Morris. Said that he'd just stopped by at Steve Hopkins' cabin to pick him up for work and had found him murdered. I told Sam not to touch anything. I got to the cabin 15 minutes later.
Will you tell the jury what you found?
Well, sir, that cabin looked like a slaughterhouse. I don't want to upset anyone with the details, so all I'll say is that Steve Hopkins had been beaten so badly the body was beyond recognition.
You say the body was beaten beyond recognition.
Right.
Then how were you able to identify it as being Steve Hopkins?
Well, first by the ring and wristwatch that was on the body. But most important of all, by the tattooing.
By the tattooing?
Yes, sir. Steve was quite a tattoo artist, and on his left arm he tattooed a heart with his initials and some girls on it. I reckon just about everyone in this courtroom saw that tattoo on his arm at one time or another.
And although the body was beyond recognition, the tattoo was clearly identifiable.
Yes, sir. No question about that.
Sheriff, when had you last seen the deceased?
Saturday night, October 10th, at the Village Tavern.
Did anything unusual take place at the tavern that night?
Yes. Luke Adams came into the tavern around 9 o'clock. He accused Steve Hopkins of hanging around Mrs. Adams, threatened to kill him.
Sheriff, can you remember Luke Adams' exact words when he made that threat?
Well, his last words before he left the tavern were, "Just wait till I catch him alone. Just wait."
I see. Now, Sheriff, when you arrived at the scene of the crime, did you find the death weapon?
Yes, sir. Steve Hopkins had been beaten to death with a sledgehammer. I found it in the cabin, covered with blood.
Was there any identification on the sledgehammer?
Yes, sir. On the handle were carved the initials, L.A.
Now, Mrs. Adams, you say there was no justification whatsoever for your husband's suspicions.
No, none at all.
In other words, he was mistaken when he accused Steve Hopkins of forcing his attentions on you.
Yes, he was.
I see. Now, your husband has testified that on the night of the murder, he was working in the cellar of your home. Where were you that night, Mrs. Adams?
Upstairs in my room?
Did you see your husband at all that night?
No, I didn't.
Would it have been possible for him to have left the cellar that night without your knowing about it?
Yes, it certainly would.
Silence in the courtroom. The prisoner will rise. Luke Adams, you have been found guilty of murder in the first degree with a recommendation for mercy. The court hereby sentences you to 25 years imprisonment in the state penitentiary.
25 years imprisonment. Yes, Judge, that was your sentence. The towering iron gates of the penitentiary closed behind me. And I no longer had a name, only a number. A year after I was in prison, I was informed that Millie had divorced me and disappeared. With that, my last tie with the outside world was gone. Years passed. World-shaking events took place and scarce reached the prison workshop, where I spent long days repairing shoes. Then one day I was notified by the warden that I'd been paroled. I was free. The gates of the penitentiary opened, and once again I joined the living. I came to the city, a stranger, and found employment in a shoe repair store. Day after day I stood by the store window repairing shoes, watching the hurrying crowds. Then late one afternoon I saw a woman pass. A woman who was a stranger, and yet wasn't. With a sudden shock, I realized that Millie had just passed. Throwing down my tools, I rushed out of the shop and down the street after her. I found her in the crowd and followed. She had hardly changed at all in the 16 years that had gone by. There were streaks of gray in her hair, but she was as beautiful as ever. I followed her block after block, and soon we were in a residential section. She turned up the path to a large cottage, unlocked the front door, and went in. A moment later, I was ringing the doorbell.
Yes, what is it?
Don't you recognize me?
No, I'm afraid not.
It's me, Millie. It's me.
How dare you force your way in here like... Luke.
Yeah, Millie. Luke, after all these years.
What? You're in prison.
I was paroled 6 months ago.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, Luke. You must leave now. I'm busy right now. I can't...
Millie, who is that? Millie, who are you talking to? Who's he?
Steve Hopkins.
Oh, you're mistaken. The name is Reed, Robert Reed.
Steve, it's Luke.
Luke, you're not dead. You're not dead. The body in the cabinet wasn't yours.
No.
I went to prison for your murder, but you're alive. I said I killed you, but you're alive.
Yes.
You let them put me in prison. You framed me.
Luke, you must listen to me.
You framed me.
No, Luke, don't. I didn't...
You framed me.
Let go of him. Let go of him.
Don't, Luke. Don't.
Whose body was that they found in your cabin?
A young hobo I picked up by the railroad tracks.
But the tattooing on the arm.
After I killed him with your sledgehammer, I tattooed his left arm to look exactly like mine. I put my wristwatch and ring on the body and then beat him beyond recognition.
And then you ran away, leaving me to stand trial for murder.
Look, what are you going to do?
What am I going to do? You remember Judge Marshall, don't you, Millie?
Yes, I remember him.
Well, I read in the papers a few weeks ago that the judge lives here in a fine mansion overlooking the city.
What are you getting at?
Steve and I are going to visit Judge Marshall.
No, Luke, no. You know what that would mean.
Look, we have some money. If you'll just forget what's happened, we'll give you money, plenty of it.
Yes, we'll give you $10,000. $20,000.
I'm not interested in money. Come on, Steve.
Luke, you can't do this to me. You can't.
Luke, you once loved me for my sake.
Come along, Steve.
No, I won't go. If they find out about that hobo, they'll hang me. I wouldn't have a chance.
You'll come, Steve, one way or another, understand?
Yes.
Yes, Judge. He didn't want to come here, but in the end he came.
Incredible. Simply incredible. The man is a monster to have done what he did. Where is this man, Steve Hopkins, now?
He's out on the porch, Judge.
Bring him in, Mr. Adams. I want to see that man.
All right, Judge.
Why are you carrying him?
He can't walk.
Can't walk? What's wrong with him?
He's dead. Here, Judge.
Dead?
Yes, Judge.
But I understood he was alive.
He was. Up until a half hour ago.
You mean you...
Yeah, Judge. I put my hands around his throat and squeezed. Squeezed until he was dead. I killed him. And there's nothing you can do to me, Judge. Nothing. Remember, you sent me to prison for killing Steve Hopkins? For 16 years, I rotted in prison. I've paid my debt to society for Steve Hopkins' death. I've paid it. There's nothing you can do to me now. Nothing.
This is the mysterious traveler again. Did you enjoy our little trip? What happened to Luke Adams? Well, his case became one of the most celebrated controversies of the day. Some legal minds claimed he couldn't be sent to prison again. He'd already been punished. Other legal experts insisted he should be tried again. But in the midst of this raging controversy, poor Luke Adams died, and his case was never decided. What do you think? Should Luke Adams have been tried for murder again? Or having already served 16 years for Steve Hopkins' murder, should he have gone free? I should like to know what your verdict is. Send your letters to the Mysterious Traveler, care of Mutual Broadcasting System, New York 18, New York.
You've just heard The Mysterious Traveler, a series of dramas of the strange and terrifying. All characters in today's story were fictitious, and any resemblance to the names of actual persons was purely coincidental. In today's cast were Maurice Toplin, Art Carney, Elspeth Eric, Frank Behrens, and Jackson Beck. Original music was played by Paul Taubman. The Mysterious Traveler is written, produced, and directed by Bob Arthur and David Kogan. Listen next week to a tale titled
The Ivory Elephant.
Another strange and suspenseful tale of the Mysterious Traveler. This program has come to you from our New York studios. Another program of tense and dramatic action will follow in just a minute. Stay tuned to this station for Official Detective. Carl Caruso speaking. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Starring Warren Williams and featuring Lorene Tuttle and Carlton Young with Howard Culver and an all-star Hollywood cast. Original music by Del Castillo. Dead men's wills are often strange. We cannot attempt to understand them or try to find the answers. We can but tell the story.
This is Warren Williams bringing you the story They Met in Monte Carlo. But first, a word from your announcer.
And here is our distinguished actor of stage, radio, and screen, Warren Williams, as John Francis O'Connell.
If you're looking for adventure, intrigue, or a romantic interlude, I can suggest just the place. Monte Carlo. The world-famous gambling casino, in particular, is the rendezvous of many strange characters you expect to find in fiction rather than in real life. I shall never forget the year 1935 and the casino. It was in the roulette room room of the casino that I saw the inception of a story as strange, as weird, and as interesting as any it has ever been my pleasure to relate. It all began on a June night. I was sitting at the roulette table, watching the ivory ball of chance spin merrily on its way. Suddenly, I felt a tug at my sleeve. I looked up. A handsome young man was looking down into my face.
I beg your pardon, sir, but are you an American?
Well, yes, I am, but how did you guess?
I just took a check.
I'll cash in my remaining plaques and join you. You know, it's nice seeing an American, even in Monte Carlo. Big Marlowe and I introduced ourselves and then took off to the casino bar.
Now, I'll tell you why I asked you here for a drink, Mr. Carlo.
Well, Dick, now that we're friends and compatriots, let's drop the formalities. My name is John.
All right, John. Now then, peer through the gilded and ornate shadows of this delightful room and tell me who you see sitting over there at that table, over there at the far side of the room.
Over at the far side of the room, eh? Let's see. Oh, yes. Well, Dick, I see a rather pompous gentleman. He's sporting a monocle, a lot of class, dark pencil mustache, sleek hair, rather gray at the temples.
Well, hang that old monocle walrus. Take a look at what's staying with it.
Oh, I see. Oh, that is different, isn't it? Good heavens, she's exquisite. Blonde hair and a lavender evening gown. My favorite colors.
They're mine, too.
No, excuse me.
As long as she's wearing them. Listen, John, you're a lawyer. You run into a lot of unusual situations. Now dig down into your law books and tell me how I can meet her.
Is that why... Oh, now I'm beginning to see the light.
Look, John, I've got to meet that girl. If there ever was a case of love at first sight, this is it.
The more I tried to find out about this love at first sight girl, the less I really learned. Dick came over to my hotel the next afternoon, and I gave him a resume of my efforts. Here, Dick, the drink.
Thanks.
Now sit down and relax, young fellow, and I'll spill the beans.
Oh, thanks, John. Well, here's to Broadway.
And here's to love at first sight.
You know, trying to meet her is about as easy as crashing in on Princess Elizabeth.
Well, here's the dope. She lives with her father at the Villa Carlotta.
Uh-oh, that means class and plenty of shekels, John. That's the ritziest place in town.
Right. And here's some more news. According to the registry, their name is Lux. Mr. Ferdinand Lux and daughter, Carla. Residence, Budapest.
Carla Lux, huh? Carla. Yeah, that sounds swell to me. Carla Marlowe. Not bad, huh?
Well, here comes disillusionment number one. Lux isn't her real name. It's an alias.
An alias? I don't...
Dick, I learned this morning that Monte Carlo is filling up with people from all over Europe. A lot of political bigwigs are gathering.
Oh, so that's it. Political intrigue in the making.
Quite obviously. Tonight, Mr. Lux and daughter Carla are attending a dinner party at the home of Monsieur Etienne Dupré, a sort of renegade Frenchman. That would be an excellent opportunity for you and Carla.
Oh, I couldn't break into that dinner date, John. That's for society. Me, I'm just a poor guy over here writing an operetta.
Oh, but you told me you play the piano, didn't you?
Of course I did, but how does that fit?
Well, Dick, tonight you're going to entertain the guests of Monsieur Dupré. You see, I hired out your services to Monsieur Dupré this afternoon. The fee is 1,000 francs. Not bad pay for an evening's work. I told them over the phone I was a theatrical agent.
Oh, no. Holy Pete, you mean that I'm going to...
Exactly. You will entertain the dinner guests and play in the salon while late coffee is being served.
But how will I meet Carla? How can I possibly...
You forget, Dick, that music is the great leveler. Give it to her right from the heart.
Beautifully, monsieur.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad you think so.
May I sit down?
Oh, I'm highly honored. May I introduce myself? I'm Richard Marlowe, American.
How do you do? I am Miss Lux. Carla Lux.
Yeah, I know. Now that we've dispensed with the formalities, is there something else I could play for you?
Oh, there are so many American songs that I would like to hear.
I'll play one I just finished writing. It's called Purple Serenade. It's from my new operetta.
It has a lovely name. But don't you sing?
No, but here are the words. Suppose you read them with me, huh?
Me?
Sure.
All right. Tonight I'll sing my serenade while evening's purple shadows fade and lovers find their rendezvous in dreams. Oh, that's beautiful, beautiful.
It never sounded as well.
The nightingale keeps on calling. Two young hearts in love. Come share with me your fantasy of song. I hear a gypsy fiddle playing a melody of love divine. It tells me once again that you are mine.
That's swell.
Where is the one for whom this lonely heart was made? One to share my purple serenade. Oh.
Like it?
You're a genius. Really, I mean it.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far, but I'm glad
Won't you play some more, please?
Oh, we'll have a lot of time for that. Years and years.
Years and years.
Sure.
I do not understand.
Well, you see, it's this way. You see, in America, when the right boy meets the right girl, they get a funny feeling up here, around the heart.
But what does that
Well,
do?
they call that love at first sight.
I still do not understand.
Yesterday, I saw you in the bar at the casino.
Yes, I saw you too.
And you know, Carlo, right away, I got that funny feeling around my heart. Just like that.
Isn't that strange?
Not at all, not at all. Then I decided to meet you.
But how did you arrange?
Well, a very good friend of mine hired me out to play for the guests tonight.
Aha! Now I'm beginning to understand.
And so I took the job because I wanted very much to have a little talk with you.
Oh, you're American. You don't let... Oh, what do they say in America? You don't let the dust settle under the foot. Is that right?
Yeah, that's it exactly. Now, while the rest of the party is so deeply engrossed in conversation, how about you showing me the moonrise over Monte Carlo? I've heard it's very beautiful.
I would like some fresh air, too, but be careful. They must not see us leave.
Well, you lead the way. I'll be as quiet as a mouse. Follow you, honey. I'm way ahead of you.
What did you say?
Oh, Skip it. You wouldn't understand. Wait a minute. Allow me. Ah, boy. Look. Just look up there. There's our moon.
Isn't it lovely?
There's a rose arbor. Just get a whiff of those roses.
Divine.
Oh, boy. This place was made for sweet romance.
Tell me, may I call you Dick?
Well, Carl, if you don't, I consider my progress nil.
Silly boy. All right, then, Dick. Tell me, what do you do?
Well, I came over here to finish my operetta. You see, Carl, I'm a composer.
A composer? Very interesting. And your operetta, what is it about?
Oh, the same old thing. Boy meets girl, boy sings to girl.
Carla?
Oh.
Carla, where are you?
Here I am, Monsieur Dupré. I came out here for a breath of air.
Well, come right in. Your father wishes to visit you.
Yes, Monsieur. Stay out here just for a moment until I have a chance to get back. And, Dick...
Yes, Carla, what is it?
Girl wishes, oh, so much, that she could see boy again.
Boy will arrange. All right, come in.
Well, good morning. What a mood you're in.
Oh, John, am I happy? And do I rate? You know Carla and I...
Carla? You don't mean say that you call her by her first name?
Well, sure, she asked me to after I got through playing for her. Say, oh, listen, I'm in the clover.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, she came over to the piano after dinner and sat down with me on the bench. Then she asked me all about myself, and I played for her, and later we went out in the garden, moonlight and roses and all that sort of stuff.
She confided in you?
Well, not exactly. In fact, now that I think of it, I don't know any more about her than I ever did.
Well, at least you have a speaking acquaintance. From now on, you've simply got to deliver the mail.
Oh, excuse me, John.
Have a note for Monsieur Marlowe.
Oh, thank you. Here you are.
Merci, monsieur.
Hey, this envelope smells awful good.
It's enticing.
How do you believe our rate, John? Getting a note less than 12 hours since we met. Wait a minute, I'll open it. Let's see.
monsieur. Please forget last night. I'm not in a position to see you again. My fiancée arrived in Monte Carlo this morning. There can be no more purple serenades. Adieu, Carlo.
Love. Thy name is persistency. At least it was in our case. Vic and I didn't intend to let any fiancé stand in our way, especially when it concerned Carlo. But anything can happen in Monte Carlo, and almost anything did. Yes?
Monsieur Colonel?
Yes, sir?
Good. This is Etienne Dupré.
Yes, Monsieur Dupré.
Monsieur Colonel, I'm very glad to hear that you are vacationing in Monte Carlo. We need the services of an American lawyer in connection with a will. A very unusual will. I wonder, monsieur, would you please drive over to my home?
Why, yes, if it's urgent, I'd be glad to.
Oh, thank you very much. Just take a taxi in front of the hotel and tell the driver to take you to my home. They all know where I live.
Very well, monsieur. I'll leave immediately. Part 2 of They Met in Monte Carlo in just a moment. But first, here is a word from your announcer. Now, Part 2 of They Met in Monte Carlo with Warren William as John Francis O'Connell. When I arrived at the Dupré home, Monsieur Dupré ushered me into the library.
Welcome, Monsieur Colonel. Welcome to the house of Dupré.
Thank you, sir.
I wanted to meet my colleagues, Sir Eideldorf and Baron X, Special Ambassador from the German Reich.
How do you do, gentlemen?
Now, please do be seated, Monsieur Colonel, and we will, as you say in America, get down to the business.
Thank you, monsieur.
Monsieur Colonel, we have learned through secret sources that you supplied the entertainment for our dinner party last night.
Quite the entertainment? Oh, you mean, the young composer Richard Marlowe.
We now understand that he's not exclusively a composer, monsieur.
Dick, not a composer? Why, I'm afraid I don't
We
follow
believe that you deliberately sent this man to us as a spy of your government. Now, what have you to say?
The accusation is unfounded. He came here purely in the interest of... Well, he wanted to meet a certain young lady.
Yes, we know. Carla Eideldorf.
Carla Eideldorf? The daughter of Herr Eideldorf.
Exactly, monsieur. And this gentleman, Baron X, is your fiancé. Monsieur Colonel, we understand that you are a collector of strange and unusual wills.
Oh, that's correct, gentlemen. It has been a sort of avocation.
Well, Monsieur Colonel, the time has come for us to put our cards on the table.
What do you mean, Baron?
Only this. That hereafter you are to stop your unwanted interference in our affairs.
And furthermore, monsieur, we want to warn you most solemnly that if you persist in sending your spies and confederates to us under the guise of strolling musicians,
then what, monsieur?
You will be able to add a new will to your collection.
Only this will, Monsieur O'Connell, will be your own. You won't be alive to do much about it. Do I make myself clear, Monsieur O'Connell?
I gather you are threatening me, gentlemen.
Your inference is very accurate, monsieur.
We do not threaten, Monsieur O'Connell. We but warn you. After that, we will not hesitate to do what we consider as a safeguard to our political interests.
And now, monsieur, you may go. But remember, if you value your life and that of your compatriots, keep him away from Mademoiselle Eidelsdorf.
That, gentleman, I consider to be his own personal affair. And I feel quite certain that Mr. Marlowe can take care of his own business affairs quite adequately. Good day, gentlemen. Well, things were getting exciting. I decided to stop off at Dick's apartment and advise him of what had taken place.
Come in. Hi there, you spy. Oh, John.
I just met, guess who?
Carlo?
No, but someone who was rather close to her.
Her father, Monsieur Lux.
And her fiancé. Very mysterious German who is hiding under the name of Baron X.
Fiancé? I can't believe it, John.
Dick, I was invited up to the Etienne Dupré home tonight under the pretext that I was to draw up or examine an unusual will.
Examine a will?
Of course, the whole thing was a put-up job to get me there. When I arrived, I met as pleasant a gang of cutthroats as I would expect to meet in Sing Sing.
John, I don't understand.
That's because the night you played for them, you only had eyes for Carlo. Dick, remember something for me.
I'll try.
On the night you attended the reception at the Dupré home, what language was spoken?
I heard only conversational French. But wait a minute. When the men went into the salon for coffee, that's when Carlo sat with me at the piano. Yeah. I remember now. I heard one of them talking about something about a... Yeah, I remember. About a new confederation of European states or something like that, with Berlin as the hub. He talked in German.
That is just what I suspected. There's a movement on foot to reshape Europe, and the key men are right here in Monte Carlo.
Wait a minute. He opened the door. Maybe some more of the gangsters came back to finish me off. Carlo.
Let me in.
Sure.
Afraid I was followed.
Carlo, I want you to meet my good friend and compatriot, John Francis O'Connell, an American lawyer.
Very happy to meet you, sir.
I'm most happy to meet you, mademoiselle.
Carlo, what in heaven's name brings you here at this hour?
Dick, I'm so frightened for you. Ever since the night you stayed for me, my father, Mr. Dupré, and my fiancé, the Baron, all of them think you came to spy on them. Oh, please, leave Monte Carlo at once. Today.
But I can't understand what this is all about, Carlo. Oh, what's so secretive? What's cooking over there in the house in the mountaintop?
Intrigue. Many European powers are gathered to form a new confederation. One that will eliminate England and the United States of Europe. And behind it all are the Germans. My father is even willing to sacrifice me, to give me to that horrible Baron, just to achieve his end. Oh, Dick, I do not know what to do.
I'll tell you what you're going to do. Listen, Carlo, I'm a day ahead of schedule, but here goes. Carlo, I want to marry you. Keep those beautiful lips closed for a moment and let me explain. You see, Carlo, I'd intended to ask you tomorrow, but this morning is just as good. I want you to fly to Paris with John and me. We'll live there for a few more weeks.
Fly to Paris?
Until I finish my musical score, and then we're off to the States.
America?
America, the land of the free and the home of the brave, and no German barons hiding under the bed.
But how? Even though my heart says yes, how possibly could we leave?
That's one of the reasons I became a lawyer, Carlo. I know how to expedite things, how to cut this infernal red tape. Shall I arrange it?
Oh, could you, mister? Could you?
I guarantee that I'll have a plane ready to fly us all to Paris by 7 o'clock tonight.
And then, Carl, after we arrive, it won't be too late to... I'll sort of make a hurried trip to the marriage bureau. We can still get married tonight, can't we, John?
I think I can arrange it.
You see, darling, how invaluable it is to have a lawyer for a friend.
I see.
And tomorrow we can start on our honeymoon to the Pyrenees. Think of it. You and I. Oh, Carla, what a honeymoon we'll have.
Dick?
Yes, darling.
Would Mr. O'Connell arrange that, too?
I pulled all the strings that were necessary for our quick exit. Things were moving at such a rapid pace that I could hardly keep abreast of them. Last night, Dick met the lovely and beautiful Carla. Tonight, he was eloping to Paris. Well, that was in the best American tradition. And quite frankly, I didn't blame him. Just after I finished calling the airport, Dick came in.
Everything all set, John?
It looks as though one eloping couple would escape the clutches of an irate father-in-law.
You're not kidding. They'd tear Slim from Lou if they had any inkling of what we intended to do.
What arrangements did you make with Carlo?
She's coming here to your apartment by 6. She's gone home to allay suspicion and steal as many of her clothes as she can carry out.
Well, at any rate, that'll help some to your budget.
Lawyers and budgets. What's a budget where the beautiful and glamorous Carlo is concerned?
I wouldn't mind too much about it either, Dick. Now listen, young man, it's getting late. Suppose you go to your room, pack up and come back. Then as soon as Carlo comes, we'll take a cab to the airport. Meanwhile, I'll file your intention to marry.
You know, if you ever sent me a bill for everything you've done for me, John...
I seem to get a sinister pleasure out of outsmarting this mysterious German Baron X, alias Frederick. He's got a lesson coming to him, and a bitter one. Listen, Dick, I'll take care of the luggage. You take Carlo and get aboard the plane, and be careful. You never know what the mysterious Baron X and his gang might do if they get wind of what we're up to.
I'd like to see him start something.
Darling, do as Monsieur O'Connor says. I know it's dangerous.
Okay, darling, come on.
Here we are, monsieur. Bon voyage.
Thank you. John, over there, that's our plane. We'll run for it and meet you there.
I won't be long.
Let's run, darling. Come along. Yeah, here we are. I'll open the door. Yeah, in you go, darling.
Welcome, Carla.
Oh.
And you too, Monsieur Marlowe. Step in, please. Well, keep your arms up, monsieur. If you value your life. As you see, I'm armed. And at the moment in the mood to kill.
Frederick, how
You
did
forget, my dear, that it is possible to listen into phone conversations. They heard you charter a plane for Paris. I hurried over here to stop you, Carl. The father and Monsieur Dupré are getting out warrants for the arrest of the 2 Americans for kidnapping. Police will be here momentarily.
But I am not being kidnapped, Frederick. I'm going to marry Richard Marlowe. I have decided.
What you decide is of little consequence. You will be told whom you shall marry.
I shall refuse.
If you refuse, which means the end of the new European Confederacy, my dear. I pledge Germany's acceptance, but only on the condition that I should have yours, my governess.
Look, Baron X, or whatever your name is, you must take the Americans to be a lot of dope.
Who could think otherwise?
But as it turns out, you're really the dope. Do you think we'd be stupid enough to anticipate your action? Look behind you, you'll see a man, and if you look carefully, you'll see a gun.
Fine, I do not believe you.
You fell for the oldest gag in the world. That's tuck in the jaws with my fondest regard.
Monsieur O'Connor.
Everything's set. What's the trouble in there?
Look out below, John, while I toss this piece of carrion out the door. Here comes Baron X.
The pilot. We have no pilot.
Well, we can't wait for him now. Anyway, I hold a private license. Let me get this place started. Well, luckily, the engine's warm. Lock that door.
Okay.
We made it. 3 months later, at 16 Rue Avalon in Paris.
How is the operetta, darling? Almost through?
I'll have it finished soon, dear. And then the plane to the good old USA.
Oh, Dick, I'm so thrilled.
You know what I told you that night out in the garden, Carla?
Oh, yes, every word. You said girl better come to America where she can marry anyone she wishes. And then I said, girl would like.
How long have we been married, darling?
3 months.
Isn't that baby cute?
Adorable.
When's the mother coming back?
In just a few minutes. She just went down to the corner to post a letter.
Oh.
Warren William will be back to tell you the rest of the story. They met in Monte Carlo in just a moment. But first, here is a brief word from your announcer. Here again is Warren William as John Francis O'Connell. Well, Dick and Carlo really did find happiness.
They came to America the following year, and Dick Subrutter proved to be a first-class sensation on Broadway. And if his songs are inspirational, which they are, blame it all on a certain beautiful and alluring blonde who decided that marrying for love is a lot nicer than marrying according to the dictates of a stern parent. And I agree, don't you? Next week, I have a story to tell you about blood-red rubies and murder. The story begins back in the days of Kublai Khan and his invasion of High Tibet. His soldiers looted the high temple, cut out the eyes of the pagan goddess, and escaped with the two most precious rubies known to be in existence. But a curse went with these rubies, the curse of sudden death. Finally, they came into the possession of a wealthy, retired American business executive. He decided to end the curse and return the jewels to the temple in High Tibet. But before he could do so, death struck, quickly, savagely. We call this unusual story The Girl in Cell 13. This is Warren William, inviting you to listen again next week.
Strange Wills is written by Ken Crepine and directed by Robert Webster Light. Names, places, and time have all been changed so that no reflection may fall on any person or persons, living or dead. This is a Teloways feature produced in Hollywood.